Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your body, your bayit, your house, your temple, your sentient self, your eyes. Close the doors of your mind. Close your left and your right ear. Close your heart and your mind from all the seeds of Satan and all the things and the influences of the outer regions of yourself and Tartarus and the unseen forces that you cannot see with your eyes. And bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your 12 gates of yourself, within your heart and your mind, down to your spine, down to your hands and your feet that control the rest of your body, that control where you go and what you do with your hands and how you move and how you operate in this world. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahusha and Yahuwah Elohim has given to us as a gift through his debar and through the words that were spoken from the Yahuwah Elohim in the beginning, that we may cease from all our labors and our work and all the things that we have within ourselves and our selfish self, and that we may Shabath, that we may get a clean washing of ourselves. For we are his children. He takes care of us in every aspect of our life, whether it's for good and whether it's for evil. For today we acknowledge the one who sits in the highest Shamayim, above the 7 heavens, above the 7 periods, above the 7 muas, above all in the sides of the north, the one who gives life and understanding to our inner man and our inner being, in our inner thought process of ourself, the one who allows us to walk on the wild upon the wings of the wind, that he may feed us with our akla, our food, that we may see and be able to understand the wiles and the seeds and the missiles and the lasers of Satan and Satan all that try to shoot you down. For we all walk by Amunah and not by sight, not by the things we see, because we are not visual creatures. We are hear and do creatures. These things are true. We hear and then we do, and then by doing it, then we become safe. Then we see all our enemies be under our feet. So as we move forward in kindness, we move forward in ahab, we move forward in love and joy and patience and meekness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control and the birthing process within ourselves, knowing that the birthing process takes time, even as a woman has a child for 9 months, knowing that 360 equals 9. We give all understanding for the 364-day cycle on the 7 celestial circles, according to the 364-day cycle of our life. Right, so this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30 and verse 1. Jeremiah, chapter 30 and verse 1. It says, the word came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah. So it came from him, from the highest Shamayim, from his throne, above all gods, above the 13 Shamayim, above all the gods of 13, even you. And he says, thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, the Elohim of Yasharal. That's the Shalosh Matah. That's the 12 tribes of Yasharal. So that's who he's talking to. That's who the whole Torah is talking to. And it says, in the whole book, all the books you read, write in a book all the words that I have spoken to you. So when Yahuwah tell you to write something, you write it down. Have you been obedient? For behold, days are coming, declares Yahuwah. Right, so when these type of days start to come, when they're on around the corner, he said you need to be writing stuff down. Why? When I will restore the fortunes of my people, Yasharal and Yehuda. So everything that people have taken and Yahuwah has taken away from us, he said he's going to restore it back. So you need to be writing stuff down. And guess what? Says Yahuwah of hope, says Yahuwah, and I will bring them back to the land that I gave to their fathers. He said to who? That I gave to their fathers. Why? Because it was their inheritance. It was their inheritance. Abraham gained wealth from leaving, he left with nothing. And then he gained wealth all the way through his life, and he passed it to his sons, and people took it away from us. That's literally what happened. And people took it away from us. And they know they're taking it. They know they hid it from you. They know they put you in time loops. They put you in mental time loops. They put you in cosmic time loops. They put your heart and your mind in time loops and gave you figures and things to worship. People with the same skin color as you. People are all just you. And then guess what? You barak them. You kneeled down to them. You kneeled down to them and you worshiped them. You gave them all the praise and the kabod, and you guess what? And they received it. And guess what? Now he's saying, now you got to return back. And guess what? Before we started a portion of my people in Yehuda, it says Yahuwah of hosts, and I will bring them back to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall take possession of it. Why? Because it's theirs. It's always been like, when you know how you get an inheritance from your father, and then you know what happens. Then you pass it to your children through documents, and you keep passing it down over and over again. And guess what? Nobody ever loses their inheritance. But for some reason, the greed of human beings, the greed of kings and rulers and people of the earth, and the archons, and the reptilians, and Satan, and Satnar, and Mustama, and he said the disciples of Shemjaza, Azbaal, and Azazel. I say, for some reason, people can't leave people's stuff alone. So, these are the words that Yahuwah spoke concerning Yasharal and Yehuda. Thus says Yahuwah, verse 5. We have heard a cry of panic, or terror, and no shalom. Because we're supposed to delight ourselves in the abundance of peace. Aynu. Right? We're supposed to be in shalom, soundness. We're supposed to hear his sound all the time. Right? And it says, ask now and see, can a man bear a child? Can a man bear a child? We ain't talking about gay stuff. We're talking about the seed is the bar, according to the book of Luke. Then we know that Yahuwah, according to Psalm 33, sent his bar by the word of Yahuwah, the Shamaim from Meir. And we know that seed, once it's implanted in the earth, as a woman bears a child, and it's implanted inside of your heart and mind, you bear a child inside of your body that you can't see. And it says, ask and see, can a man bear a child? Can a man bear a child? Why then do I see every man with his hands on his stomach like a woman in labor? He said, why everybody holding their stomach then? Why? Because it's called birth pains. He said, you fat right now. You huge. You are gigantic. Right? It's just like exercise. You get swollen. Right? You start to do all these things and feats to try to make yourself bigger, and then guess what? You get swollen. Right? That is the time to panic. It's like, man, what's going on? It hurts. I'm in pain. I'm in pain. My body's in pain. Everything's in pain. Why? Because now you're giving birth to a new person. That's what happens when you give birth to a new person, a new version of yourself. You got to go through the pain, the swelling, the intense soreness, and all the things that come with it. Right? And if you can't go through it, if you run from it, if you run from these hard things in your life, then guess what? You'll never be born again. It's just really that simple. It's not rocket science. If you don't want to go through the adversity, the pain, the suffering, and all the things that comes with being born again and getting your inheritance back, then guess what? You will not get it back. Both male and female. You will not get it back. And it says, why has every face turned pale? That's what happens. Because you have two different beings on the inside. Now you become pale. Why? Because you're getting ready to die. He said, why has everybody's face become pale? Alas, the day is so great. There is none like it. So this whole birthing process, when it get ready to happen, there ain't going to be nothing like this ever before. Ever. Because Yahuwah he said, man, we've been holding it in. He said, you've been holding it in for a long time. You know how a woman holds a child for a long time. He's like, man, I'm ready to get rid of this thing. This thing need to come up out of here. And guess what happens? That's the same thing. That's the same thing when it comes to the birthing process of Yasharal and Yahuwah. And guess what? Alas, the day is so great, and there is none like it. It is a time of distress for your cold. Yet he shall be saved out of it. It's a birthing process. It's getting ready to happen. Guess what it says? And it shall come to pass in that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and I will burst your bonds, and foreigners shall no more make a servant of him. He make you an A-bod, because you're supposed to be an A-bod in the gun, in Aydah. It's spelled with an iron. You're supposed to see it. You're supposed to understand. You're supposed to be watching your garden. You're supposed to be seeing your garden. You're supposed to have this experience in your garden, naturally, and also ruach. Being that they're taking your patience away because you don't know how to wait for things to grow, and you don't depend on Yahuwah for rain and snow. So therefore, they made you into whatever they want you to be. They molded you into something that you was never designed to do. Both male and female. And guess what? But they shall serve, it says, verse 8, and it shall come to pass in that day, declares Yahuwah of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and I will burst your bonds, and foreigners shall no more make him a servant. But they shall serve Yahuwah their Elohim, and Dawid their king, whom I will raise up for them. Who do you mean Dawid their king? No, he's talking about, who is he talking about? Yahushua said, search the scriptures. All right, this is the book of Yuchanan, chapter 5. Yuchanan, chapter 5, verse 32. Yuchanan, chapter 5, and verse 32. It says, there is another who bears witness about me, and I know that the testimony that bears about me is true. You sent to Yuchanan, and he has borne witness to the truth. What truth? Not that the testimony that I receive is from man. Just like Yirmiyahu. I didn't get this from, he said, Yahuwah spoke to Yirmiyahu personally. So who do you think Yahushua is talking about? Who do you think Yahushua, why do you think they said, some say you Yirmiyahu? That's why he said that. But he says, not that the testimony that I received is from man, but I say these things so that you may be saved. He was a burning and shining lamp, and you were willing to rejoice for a while in his light, for a while. But the testimony that I have is greater than that of Yuchanan. For the works that the Father has given me to accomplish, the very works that I am doing, bear witness about me that the Father has sent me. He said he's Shabath. He has sent one. What do you mean? He sent me to do what? And the Father who sent me has himself borne witness about me. His voice you have never heard, his form you have never seen. He said, you ain't never heard it and seen it. You know what happens after that? And you do not have his word abiding in you. That's why you ain't never heard it. Because if you had heard his voice, if you had heard and seen him, you would have his word debarred inside of you. That's the only way you can even understand him. But guess what? For you do not believe the one whom he has sent. He said you don't even believe the person he sent. You know what he said? You search the scriptures. He said you do that. He said I ain't got to do it. He said I already know it. He said you search the scriptures. Why? Because you think in them you have eternal life. And he said that's what people think today, throughout the four corners of the earth. That's in every single religion, religious faction that was created from the beginning, from Adam's fall all the way to today. Everybody think they got eternal life for some reason. And he says, and in it they bear witness about me. That's why he said they're going to be a king, they're going to reign over them. He wasn't talking about David. He was talking about him. He was talking about Yahushua Mashiach. And you know what it says? Yet you refuse to come to me that you may have life. Right? How you going to get life? How you going to get your inheritance back? How you going to get the debar on the inside of you that Yahuwah may be your Aleph again? You know your Aleph, your first letter of the Aleph is? How? I do not receive glory from people. So when you start to understand him, you're not going to get no glory from people. So don't even expect it. But I know that you do not have the love of Elohim within you. He said, I know, because you don't know it. I have come in my Father's name, Yahuwah, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, you will receive him, and you will receive every quote, every saying. You will receive every single thing he says. You will receive everything. Matter of fact, you will receive it, and you believe it, and you will walk in it. But when Yahushua said, when I come, he said, you ain't going to do nothing. He said, you ain't going to walk this thing out, like they say. How can you believe when you receive glory and kabod from one another? Everybody get kabod from one another. And get what it says. And do not seek the kabod that comes from the only Elohim. Why? The one who sits in the highest Shamayim, Yahuwah Elohim, who sits in the north. The one who sits above all gods. Because the earth, Aydahchay is his footstool. The little north on earth is his footstool. The north in the highest Shamayim. The one who sits above all Elohims. Believe me, you sitting in the south, you sitting in the north, you just don't know it. Just not the north on earth. Right, so we look at it, going to Yochanan, actually, Yochanan chapter 12 and verse 1. Yochanan chapter 12 verse 1. Let me get out of here, we're going to get into this. Actually, yeah, Yochanan chapter 12 verse 27. Yochanan chapter 12 verse 23. And Yahushua answered, John chapter 12 verse 23. And Yahushua answered them, the hour has come for the son of Adam to be kabod. Right, the hour has come for him to have a child. Because it's Yaakov's trouble. And it says, truly, truly I said, how you going to get glorified? How are you going to get kabod back in the earth? It's Yaakov's trouble. How you going to get your inheritance back? This is Yaakov's trouble. Who gonna get the inheritance back? Who gonna be your king? And it says, truly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls in the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. How are you gonna do that without having your land back? How are you gonna do that? You get what it says? Whoever loves his life will lose it. And whoever hates his life in this world will keep it to eternal life. He said, you hate your life. Why? Because this is your cold trouble. Because what good is a life? What good is a life in this life when you don't have no inheritance? You ain't got no inheritance. How do you love this life when you ain't got your inheritance? They say you fell for the trap. They got you to love life without your inheritance. You say, I don't want my inheritance. I don't care. Guess what? How do you love life? Guess what it says? It bears much fruit. Whoever loves his life will lose it. Whoever hates this life in this world will keep it eternal life. If anyone serves me, he must follow me. You know what he says? And where I am, there will my servant, my Abad, be also. Where is Yahushua? He said, that's where he's going to be. He said, wherever I am, that's where he's going to be. So where is Yahushua at now? Right, this is the book of Colossians. Let me see. This is the book of Acts. Let me show you where he at. This is the book of Acts, chapter 1, and verse 18. Actually, go to Acts chapter 1 and verse 6. Let me show you where he at. So when they had come together, they asked him, the master, will you at this time restore the Mount Kuth to Yashua and give it back our inheritance? We just went through, what about your Yaakov's trouble? You just went through your Yaakov's trouble. Guess what? He said to them, it is not for you to know the times and seasons that the Father has fixed by his own authority. Right? It ain't for you to know that time and season. So they already knew the time and season that was fixed according to 364-day cycle. But you don't know that season when it's going to come, that time and that season. But you got a child on the inside. When that time and season comes for you to give birth, I understand. You're going to give conception. And guess what? But you will receive power when the Kudash Ruach has come upon you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria to the ends of the Arabs, to the four corners. And when he had said these things, as they were looking, he was lifted up, and it says, and a cloud took him out of their sight. So wherever I am, there you're going to be. Where are you going to be looking to? And guess what? A cloud, a Abraku Kanaf Halat Ruach, his chariot, took him out of here. Because you look at the blue sky, look at the sky in the sky, it's blue. He said, Shami is my own throne, the earth is my footstool. You look under Yahuwah's feet, it's blue. But then you look at what? What do you see under his feet? What do you see under the blue sky? clouds, and he be walking on the clouds, and you don't even know it. He walking on the clouds. You see the blue sky, that's the bottom of his feet, but then you see the clouds underneath his feet. He riding on the wings of the wind. That's his chariots. You know how a man stands on a chariot with horses in front of him, and he rides on it, and he stands on it, and he rides on it, or like a Segway. You ever seen a Segway? That they gotta get on a Segway, they gotta think, and they go forward. And he got his feet on it though, but he moving. That's how he moved. That's how Yahuwah move up there. He say out of his feet come like whirlwinds and storms and earthquakes, right? Why? Because all these things come up between his feet, just like a woman giving birth. It give birth into the world. That's old people. And it says right here, this is Acts chapter 1, verse 9. It says, and when they had said these things, as they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. And while they were gazing into Shamayim as he went, behold, two men stood by them in white robes and said, men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into Shamayim? He said, what you looking at? Because Yahushua said, where I am, there you going to be. He said, why are you looking up into Shamayim? This Yahushua, who was taken up from you into Shamayim, will come in the same way you saw him go into Shamayim. So did he tell them not to stop looking up? Mark, he ain't say, don't ever look back up again. Did he ever say that? No. Because that's where he said, where I am, there you gonna be. Because they're looking for him. Right? This book of Colossians, going back to Yukinan chapter 12, we'll get out of here. Yukinan chapter 12. Yukinan chapter 12, verse 18. It says the reason why the crowd went to meet him was that they heard that he had done this sign. So the Pharisees said to one another, you see that you are gaining nothing. Look, the whole world is going after him. That's what happens. When you start to describe him in the way that it needs to be descriptions, then the whole world, he said, they're getting upset because they ain't getting no more attention. And he said the scribes, the Pharisees, the high priest, the high Kahan, Herod, they ain't getting no more attention no more. The people ain't following them no more. They don't want nothing to do with you anymore. You know how it is. It's like a woman, like a man having a woman, and she jealous, and she go be with somebody else. You know that dude, that make you want to destroy somebody. Right? Remember, the scribes, the Pharisees, the high priest, the Levitical Louis, the hypocrite Louis, and all of them were actually, they stole Yahushua's bride. They stole his woman. So Yahushua came back to get his woman back. Why do you think Yahuwah said Yahuwah came to get his woman back? And you know they were upset. And you know what happens? You stole my bride, and then I come to get my bride back, and then now you get mad, and now you want to kill me. Right? Because they stole a man's bride that belonged to another. They stole a man's wife from her husband. That's what they did. They stole it. So Yahushua came back. He was like showing himself off, speaking his words. He walked among the people, and everybody started. He said, "Man, they're gonna go back to they're gonna go back to him. We got to get rid of this man." Verse 20 says, "Now among those who went up to worship at the feast were some Greeks. Some of these came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, 'Sir, we wish to see Yahushua.' Philip said and told Andrew, and Philip went and told Yahushua. And Yahushua answered them, 'The hour has come, the Son of Man to be kabod. Truly I say to you, until a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone.'" Right? Skipping over verse 26. "If anyone serves me, he must follow me. And where I am, there my servant will be also." Why? If Yahushua in the highest Shamayim, where he's sitting at the right hand, where you should be at? Where you should be seeking. And get what he says. "If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him." He said, if you serve Yahushua, the Father, Abba, Yahuwah will honor you. He said, you ain't never gonna get honor from no human beings. But if you serve Yahushua, you get honor from Yahuwah. Verse 27, now is my soul troubled, because it's Jacob's trouble. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. He said, why are you going to save me from this birth, this childbirth, this birth I'm getting ready to come? He said, save me from this. I got to go through this thing. But for this purpose, I have come to this hour. He said, I came right at the appointed time. I came right at the appointed time. It's like Ruth when she went to go be with Boaz, right? He said, the 10th generation, right? Right at the appointed time. He said, I came right then. And guess what? You can wear a mortal body, right? He had to come right then. He said, I came at an appointed time. But for this purpose, I have come this hour. Father, kabod your name. That's the only reason he came. Then a voice came from Shamayim, just like Jeremiah. What did Jeremiah say? I heard a word of Yahuwah. A word came from Yahuwah himself. He said, I kabod it, and I will kabod it again. The crowd stood there and heard it, said this, it had thunder, right? Because his bride now looking at him now. They're like, man, who is this man? His woman, his bride looking at him. Yasharal and Yehuda is looking at Yahushua Mashiach, the one who's going to bring them back to their husband. He's like, man, this person comes to bring them back to their husband. They're looking at him. Then he said, others said, and Malak had spoken to him. Yahushua answered, this voice came for your sake, not mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now when the rulers of this world be cast out. Why? Because they stole my bride. They stole my woman. They stole Yasharal and Yehuda from me. So I gotta get rid of these people. I gotta get rid of Satan. We talked about Gog and Magog getting cast into, he say people like them getting cast into the lake of fire. Yahushua don't want. He say a man doesn't feel for his bride when somebody takes him. Okay. That's what you think. And it says, now is the judgment of this world. Now will the rulers of this world be cast out. And when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. He said, I'm going to draw all people. I'm going to get all the earth back to me. They're going to come right back to me. My bride, my original state on how I was, you know how a woman serves at a man, at Yahushua's feet. The woman was serving at his feet. You know how everybody at his feet? He said, you know what? I'm going to get, just like children are at my feet, serving me. And just like a bride is at my feet serving me, I'm going to get my family back. That's literally what Yahushua came to do. I'm going to get my family back. And all you kings and rulers and all you people who stole it, my family, guess what? He said, I'm going to get them back. How he going to get them back? And he said this to show what type of death he was going to die. He said, that's how I was going to get them back. I had to trick you to kill me, to fulfill all the Torah. From the beginning all the way to the end, I had to trick you. And it worked. They used Adal and the demon Aldi, and they channel him to trick people. He said, guess what? I'm going to trick you, and you're going to kill me, and I'm going to bring them back. And I'm going to take them right out of your hand, your trickery. That's how he worked. We have heard from the Torah that Yahuwah, Mashiach, reigns forever. And we know that. Right, going back to Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 1. 30 and verse 6. Ask now and see, can a man bear a child? Why then do I see every man with his hand on his stomach like a woman in labor? Why has his face turned pale? Alas, the day is so great. It is none like this. It is a time of distress for your cold. Yet he shall be saved out of it. Why do you think Yahushua in the totality said, Ma'alahim, why hast thou forsaken me? Then he gave him sour wine, he gave it the Ruach. He was saved right out of it. Then the third day he rose from the grave, just like the third day of creation, just like plants come up from the ground. He was just like the first plant that came from the ground and bare fruit like it was in the beginning. And he did it in the land of his inheritance. On the third day. It only took 3 days for it to come back up. You know, like a seedling. You ever planted a seedling and you watered it and you put it in there? It only take like a couple of days for it to come back up. Amazingly, you can't do that without having it land in your inheritance. He said the reason why, he said, why everything taking so long? It's the reason why. It's just the soil. And it says, and it came to pass, and it shall come to pass in that day, declares Yahuwah, and that I will break the yoke off your neck. You're skipping over. Verse 10 says, then fear not, O Yaakov, my servant, declares Yahuwah of hosts, nor be dismayed, O Yasharal. You know, we read in a couple weeks ago with the book of Shemu, you go against your enemies. You know what it says? For behold, I will save you from far away. He said, he said from far away. Where Yahushua at? Where Yahuwah at? And guess what? And your offspring it says, from far away, and your offspring from the land of their captivity, your Yaakov shall return and have quiet. Huh? You're going to have what? You're going to have quiet. Zaman. You're going to be quiet. Aynu, Aydah, Aynu, Shafal, Anua. You're going to be quiet, Shalom. But they advise evil those who are quiet in the land. He said, you're going to be, Jacob shall return and have quiet and ease, and none shall make him afraid. Why? Because Proverbs chapter 3, if you don't lose sight of these things, he said, when you sleep, he said, when you lay down, your sleep shall be sweet. Ain't nobody going to make you afraid. Why? Because Yahuwah made the Shaman in the earth, and the sea and everything in it, the Yam and everything in it, the creatures, the sea creatures and everything. He gave them all consciousness. He made all of the rocks in the cosmos, all of the Pluto, all of the highest Shaman. He formed all the black holes in the event horizons and singularity. He put it all the way through the high. He put all of it. He go through light vortexes to the fourth dimension and come right into your house. Right? He can do all things and travel throughout the world and sit in his throne, and you can see the bottom of his feet right now. You just go out and look outside. Why would you be afraid of anybody? And guess what it says? It says right here, for I am with you to save you. So that's why he told you, don't be afraid and dismayed. He said, why? When you go against your enemies, you know why he said that? He said, you got to believe. The man said, believe and believe that Yahuwah is with you when you go against these battles in your life. But people start to faint. But he said, Yahuwah's like, no, I ain't gonna let you faint. I know you want to go back this time. He said, you know what I'm gonna do? I know you want to turn around. I know you don't want to fight. But he get what he said. I'm gonna make you get up this time. So I can't retrieve you. I know you've been weak. They've been beating you down. Everything that's life and Satan is sitting on his beings and his army been beating you down. He said, guess what? I come to get you back up. He said, I'm not gonna let you quit either. You know how you see? He said, I'm not gonna let you quit, but Yahuwah gonna make you stand. That's what thinking about getting immersed in Yahushua. Yahuwah's gonna make you stand. You know how you get weak, you scared. Yahuwah gonna make you stand. So people think they get immersed into Yahushua, put him on, and just gonna run away. And you got weak. Yahuwah's like, no, I'm gonna make you stand. You gonna stand. I'm gonna make you. Jacob shall return and have quiet, for I am Yahuwah that will save you, declares Yahuwah of hosts, and I will make a full end of all the goyim among whom I scattered you. But of you I will not make a full end. I will discipline you in just measure, and I will by no means leave you unpunished. Right? But he said, so you think you're going to just give up and quit? No, Yahuwah's like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm going to punish you. I'm going to get you back up just like a children. And then guess what? You're going to get your behind right back up and do what I said. For thus says Yahuwah, your hurt is incurable and your wound is grievous. Right? There is none to uphold your cause. No medicine for your wound, no healing for you. Why? Because you're alone. Because Yahuwah, what did Yahushua say? This is Yochanan chapter 15. Yochanan chapter 15, verse 1. Yochanan 15 and 1. He says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. John 15 and 1. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes. He disciplines you. That it may bear more fruit, that you may do what he says. Already you are clean by the debar that I have spoken to you. He said, man, I'm already cleaning you up. Just Ba, just Bump, just Mazum, just Bath, just Ephah. I'm already doing it. Abide in me and in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. You are the branches. Whosoever abides in me and I in him, he that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. That's why he said that. He said that's why he said it. Go back to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 12. It says, for thus says Yahuwah, your hurt is incurable, your wound is grievous. There is none to uphold your cause, no medicine for your wounds, no healing for you. All your lovers have forgotten you, because you're alone. He said, apart from me, you can't do nothing. You can't even get your inheritance back. How you gonna get pregnant with a child? They care nothing for you. He said, none of your lovers care nothing for you. So he said, yeah, how many lovers you got? He said, ain't none of them care. He said, they don't care for you. But Yahuwah said, I give you your inheritance back. I care for you. He said, they don't even care for you. They have forgotten you. They don't even care. They forgot all about you. For I dealt you a blow of an enemy. He said, the only reason that happened is because Yahuwah has dealt you. He calls you, said, you are my enemy. That's the only reason. The punishment of a merciless foe, because your guilt is great, because your sins are flagrant, right? Because it's sin. That's the only reason all my lovers have forgotten. That's what he said. He said, that's why. Because of sin and because of all the things. And he said, I made them, you become an enemy to me. That's why they don't love you. That's why they don't care about you. But guess what he said? Why do you cry out over your hurt? That's why you gotta go through the pain. You're gonna have this child. So all your lovers forgetting about you, no healing medicine for you, nobody there to help you. Your wound is incurable. Right? You're going through the pains. This is the birthing process. All your lovers, all your wives forgot you. Right? You was in the world, all the women who had all these men, and you said you was sleeping around, and they all forgot about you and left you on the side. All the women who committed adultery. He said all your lovers forgot about you, right? You say you all messed up, ain't you? No medicine, no healing. You incurable. He said they all forgot about you. They don't even think about you no more. They on to something else. You know what he says? Why do you cry for your hurt? He said, you going through your punishment. He said, I discipline you. Oh, you getting pruned. I'm disciplining you. I'm getting I'm doing it just like a mother and father would do a child. Why are you crying out for your hurt? Your pain is incurable. He said, man, don't even think about it. Stop reasoning. I'm gonna get out of this. No. He hurt he said everything hurt. He's like, yeah, exactly. But guess what he said? Because your guilt is great. That's the only reason. Because you done did all that stuff in your life. He said, I got immersion in Yahushua, and all I got is a bunch of pain and beat downs, right? But that's the whole point. Now you my child now. You used to be Satan's child. Satan would be like, yeah, keep doing it. I keep rocking you, right? You do that job with Yahuwah keep beating you. I'm going to keep tearing you over. You know how you say, you ever got beaten around the circle? Like your parents get a belt and they beat you around in the circle. They keep beating you, keep running around the circle. They got you by one arm and just keep turning you around and around and around. That's what it says. Because your sins are flagrant. I have done these things to you. So please don't be thinking like, that person's doing this to me. My wife is doing this. She doesn't love me anymore. My children. Nobody cares about me. There's no medicine that can heal my sickness. There's nothing that can save me. Please don't think that. Yahuwah said, I'm doing it to you. I lost everything. My car is gone. My house is gone. I'm losing money like crazy. It's like somebody in my hand, like a hole in my pocket. Yahuwah said, because your sins are flagrant, I have done these things to you. My stock portfolio went down. My cryptocurrency's going down. I'm losing everything. Everything's being taken away. What is going on? He said, no need to throw a rock. No need to smash a hole in the wall. No need to do anything crazy, right? Just understand, because your sins are flagrant, I have done these things to you. That's what you just need to understand. But guess what he said? Therefore, all who devour you shall be devoured. Now you see why we talked about going through your afflictions, and then you have those with malice, and they hoping that you die. They rejoicing at your calamity. Which side would you rather be on? Would you rather go through your pain and the things you got to go through and give birth and get your inheritance, or would you rather be the people that's mocking it and laughing at people's calamity? Would you rather be that person? Would you want to be that person that's going through those things, and then you're the one that's mocking and hoping that that person die? When will his name be blotted out? Would you want to be that person? That's the whole truth. Therefore, all who devour you shall be devoured, and all your foes, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And he even wonder, like, man, why I'm going in captivity? Because Yahuwah will be watching everybody. He be like, I'm gonna get you too. You were laughing, or you were laughing at his calamity, or you were laughing at his pain. You were laughing at what he was going through, or you were hoping malice. You were hoping something else happened to him. Oh, you were doing this and that. Guess what I'm gonna do? You going into captivity. And then people say, how we get in captivity? Because that's what y'all did to Yahusha. He was your cold trouble for him. The chief priests, the scribes, and the Pharisees, everybody mocked him. Even the thieves on the cross, the one who was going ready to die, they were on their deathbed. The people at the bottom were mocking him. Guess what? So therefore, you go into captivity. Do unto others, you have them do unto you, right? So therefore, those who plunder you shall be plundered. So somebody going through calamity and trouble, and you want to take even more from them, guess what? You want to still take from them? You want to still take their money? You still want to do these things? You know they're going through stuff, and you still want to oppress them? Then you will say, guess what? I'm gonna plunder you. And all who prey on you, I will make a prey. Right. So therefore, you want to prey on somebody else after all that? He said he's vulnerable. He's discouraged. Something's happening to him. Let's take him down now. And guess what? Who will say? Being that you did that, I'm going to be a prey for you. I'm going to send Satan after you. I'm going to send Mastama after you. I'm going to send all these beings after you. And you see how you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to see how you get through it. For I will restore health to you. So you see that? Yeah, that's how he's going to restore health to you. You got to go through your adversity, your pains, your punishments, all the things you did. You got to go through it in order for him to restore health to you. And your wounds I will heal. That's the only way he's going to get you back. So all those who mocked and wanted something else to happen, all those who rejoiced at somebody else's calamity and fall, and the people that were going through their pain, that thought it was never going to end, he said, you got to go through all your stuff, your punishments and your pain. For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares Yahuwah, because they have called you an outcast. That's what happens. When people start calling you that, and they cast you out, you know what I'm saying? They called you an outcast, saying that you want nothing. Oh, he went back, ha ha. He had a betrothal, he went back, ha ha. He had a land, he had a house, and all these things. You ain't go to your battle, he ain't go to the battle. Look at him, he ain't nothing. He said, he's all weak and he's all frail. And they called you an outcast. They rejected you. I remember I used to play sports when I was like real young, maybe like 9, 10. And I remember being so young, and nobody would pick me. You'd say you'd be the fastest and everything, but nobody would ever pick me for the teams. You know how you had the children would pick you for the team, and then you always be the last pick. You'd be like, man, why can't I be the first? I'm like the most athletic person here. But everybody would pick you last, and they would just reject you. And sometimes I wouldn't even get picked. I would have to sit on the sideline while they throw and play street football out in the park. And I would have to sit on the bench and watch everybody else play. Right? Never got picked. So you ain't never gonna be picked, because sometimes it ain't time for you to be picked. But that same rejection, he said, when you get older, then next thing you know, you're playing professional sports. He said, how does that happen? But nobody that wouldn't pick you didn't. And people think, oh, I was never picked. He said, yeah, it doesn't matter. But it says right here, therefore all who devour you shall be devoured, and all your foes, every one of them, shall go into captivity. Those who plunder you shall be plundered, and all who prey on you I will make a prey. For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares Yahuwah, because they have called you an outcast. It is Saum, for whom no one cares. They left you all by yourself. They left you all by yourself. Nobody cares about Saum. And nobody cares about Saum today. The real Saum. So please don't be thinking people care about you. They will pretend. They'll put a news thing out, put something news out. Yeah, such and such was this and that. This, yeah, don't believe it. They don't care about you. They don't. You got to care about each other. Because that's why you went into captivity anyway. And it says, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will restore the fortunes of the tents of your cove and have compassion on his dwellers. And the city shall be rebuilt on its mound. He said, on this mound. He said, we never built on no flat ground. We always built on something that was a height, right? We always built on something high. And the palace shall, in the what? In the palace, your ba'ith, your house. Your palace, your ba'ith, that's the second letter of the alphabet, shall stand where it used to be. Your house, your palace. I told you who are going to make you stand. People like, how he going to make me stand, right? He said, it's going to be right where it used to be. He says, out of them shall come songs of thanksgiving and the voices of those who celebrate. He said, man, I'm going to put you right back where you were. He said, we never built on no flat ground. Why would you build in the valley where you plant crop? Plant. That makes absolutely no sense. Right? He says, why? Because there's a reason why we did this. He said, there's a reason why. And you know the sad part about it, people will believe anything else other than what Yahuwah said. Which in turn, I understand. Right? This is the book of Matthew 7:24. It says, everyone then who hears these words, Matthew 7:24. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who builds his house on a rock. Because you got to go through pain, suffering. You got to go through mockings. You got people laughing at your calamity. You got to go through your punishments in order to get your palace back on the place where it used to be on the mount, on the rock. You're going to have to go through that because it's your trouble. Ooh, you in trouble. The only reason you in trouble is to get your house, your body, your palace back on the mount, back on the mount. And it says, Matthew 7:24, it says, everyone who uses these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who builds his house on a rock. So how you become a wise man and woman? You gotta go through all your affliction. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. And it did not fall because it had been founded on a rock. The palace. He said, it ain't going nowhere. Because it was founded. You know how you had the founders? You form a corporation or company and you have the founders of the corporation. Or you're the founders of the organization. He said, if you don't build it on a rock, he said, you got to build your house on a rock. It says, and everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a foolish man and does not do them. Will be like a foolish man who builds his house in the sand. You build your house in the lower part. You deserve what you get. You know what I'm saying? You deserve it. You deserve it. And the rains fell and the floods came and the wind blew and beat against that house and it fell. And great was the fall of it. You deserve it. You know, people say, I don't deserve that issue. Because you ain't wise. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 going back there. I don't know why we still here. Must be for a reason. Must be for a reason. We're going back to Jeremiah in verse 7. Jeremiah 30 and 17. For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares Yahuwah, because they have called you an outcast. It is Saun, for whom no one cares. Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will restore your fortunes, and of the tents of Jacob, and I will have compassion on his dwellings. The city shall be rebuilt on its mound, and the palace shall stand where it used to be. Right? The word for mounds, Jeremiah 30 and 18. Jeremiah 30 and 18, that word for mound, I think it's hard, but most likely it will be. Right, Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30. Yeah. The word for mound is tall. Tall. They say tail. They say tail. It says tail. Tail. It means a mound. It means strength. Because you know the aleph, the first letter of the alphabet is strength. He said they're going to be built on its strength again, which is the mound. Right? It's going to build on, and guess what? And that strength is a mound, right? They say tail. You know, they say tails from the crypt. We ain't talking about crypt, right? But they say tail. So this ain't no tail. This ain't no, how you say, this ain't no fiction story. This ain't no lying. We're not lying to you. Even them tales ain't lying. Some things they just try to mix it, but it's actually true. But it says, the city shall be rebuilt on its tail, its mound, its strength, because that's where it's at. And its palace shall stand where it used to be. And out of them shall come songs of thanksgiving, and the voices of those who celebrate. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. And I will make them honored, and they shall not be small. He's like, when it gets to this point. Because once you go through that, and it's like, you know how you're not going to be few and small, because they're going to be fruitful and multiply. You know what's going to happen? Their children shall be as they were of old. People are going to be getting fruitful and multiplying. Because they now gotten their palace and their mound back again. The Thanksgiving song starting to come back out. They're celebrating. Everything's stable again. Everything's back to normal again. And guess what they said? Man, let's be fruitful and multiply and make ourselves more. So that the children, an inheritance may be given to the children. And that's what? And they will be able to increase it even more. That it will never happen again. That's the whole point. That it'll never happen again. But these are people that don't think about themselves. Their children shall be as they were of old, and their congregation shall be established before. And I will punish those all who oppress them. Right? So he said, you don't want to do that. Do you have to see your children again? Don't do it. There's like a millstone. He got like a millstone thing that he do. Right? He got this firestone that he throws down too. They real big. And it's like a storm hurricane too. The Malaki do. They real big too. And they can move plates and stuff. They can like change land masses and stuff. Right? They can send floods and stuff like that. I don't think you wanna screw with them. You got Mikal, Garba, all Uri, all Rafa, all in the cosmos. Right? They be patrolling. I don't think you want to mess with. You don't want to mess with them. Right? You think you're going to go out there and just be safe and you're going to escape Yahuwah's judgment. That's not going to happen. Right? You got all types of beings out here. Right? I don't think you want to be screwing around. And guess what it says? Their prince shall be one of themselves. Their ruler shall come out from their midst. I always say, a Nabi Yahuwah going to raise up like unto me, unto the brother. And he said, brothers, him shall you hear from the Dawarim. But we know that. He's going to come out from them. Why do you think he said, now is my soul trouble? Because that's their ruler. The whole world going to go after him. And I will make him draw near, and he shall approach me. Why do you think Yahushua said, where Yahushua at? For who would dare himself approach me? That's why Yahushua said to them, he said, you ain't never seen his face or heard his voice. Declares Yahuwah. He said, who would dare do that? and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. I think he went back up. He said, why you standing here gazing at Shamayim? You know, he just like Mashah. He went back up into the mountain and went to go approach Yahuwah. Who would dare approach Yahuwah? And Yahuwah ain't summon you. You know how people be fasting and trying to go all the way up to Shamayim, and Yahuwah be like, how? And you be like going by yourself. He'd be like, how you get up here? Who told you to come up here? I ain't tell you to come up here. Did somebody bring you up here? Did I summon you personally? You ain't supposed to be here. He'll cast you back down if you live. If you live. We don't get out there. Right, this is the book. I don't know why we went there, but we went there. But Exodus chapter 20. Right, this is Exodus chapter 20. Shemuth Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. Shemuth Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. It says, and Elohim spoke these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. I brought you out of sin. I brought you out of the house of Ham, and his sorcerers, and his wizards, and warlocks, and his vibrational, how you say, his vibrational remote viewers, and the astral projectors, the sorcerers, right? The people who fly through the sky, right? These beings. Yeah, I brought you out of the teachings from Jaza, Azazel, and Azba'al. I brought you out of that. He said I gave you your mind back. I brought you out of the slavery and the mind of somebody else providing for you, and I'm coming to provide for you. You were married to another Elohim, so therefore I come to take you back. Because they stole you from me. It says, you shall have no other Elohims before me, no other marriage before me. No other side hustle, side relationship other than me. Don't work. He said, this type of relationship we got, it don't work if you do that. He says, you shall not make for yourself a carved image. He said, I don't even want to see that. I don't even want to see an image of them. He said, I don't even want to see it. Or a likeness of anything that is in the Shamayim above. He said, anything that's under me, I don't want to see nothing in I don't even want to see it. You shouldn't be making it. And get what it said. Or that is in the earth beneath. He said, I made the earth. What you making that? I made the earth. I made it. What you worshiping it for? You shall not bow down to them or serve them. What you baracking them for? I made everything. For I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, and a jealous Elohim. Just like a man gets jealous over another woman, jealous over another man taking his woman. He's like, I'm just like that. I'm jealous. I'm real jealous. He said, "Oh, hold up. You gonna look at my woman? You gonna barack him? You gonna kneel to him? You finna give him? You finna serve him?" He said, "I'm jealous." He said, "I'm jealous." You ever seen a man that's jealous of a woman? What do you think a man gonna do when he's jealous of a woman going to be with another woman? What do you think that man gonna do? That man think about a woman every day. He think about it. He like, man, that other who this God is. I'm the God Elohim of Elohims. Who this other God is, right? Who this God? He don't even believe he a God, Elohim, and you serving him. He's like, hold up, how you gonna serve a God? Elohim don't even believe he Elohim, and then you skip me, the one who sit in the highest Shamayim, and guess what? And you serve him more than you serve me. You were like, man, yo God. Guess what? That's how Yahuwah is. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children. Now you see why he said the children are going to be back it was before. Because the iniquity of the fathers got them to that point. That's why he says your cold trouble. How does every man got a child on his stomach? Can a man get pregnant? Visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children. Can a man get pregnant? You think after you leave this life, you got a child on the inside. What do you think it's not yet what you're gonna be. But guess what? When you shall see him, you'll be changed in a moment, twinkling of an eye. When these birth pains happen, you give birth to your child. People have no idea. It says, to the third and fourth generation, to those who hate me, because you don't love me. But showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments, those who keep faithful to my covenant, my marriage covenant. Because if you go outside my marriage covenant, then I'm going to get upset. And I'm going to get jealous, and I'm going to come after the other gods, and then I'm going to come after you. You shall you shall not take the name of Yahuwah your Elohim in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. All right, skipping over. Verse 12. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. But this is what you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery. Right? You shall not commit adultery. Why? Because Yahuwah is a jealous Elohim. You're gonna go and be with, because Yahuwah loves his wife, bride. I don't know what people are thinking. Yahuwah loves his bride. That's why he told her don't commit no adultery. Don't go after no other Elohims and don't have no other gods in your tongue. Why? He said, don't even let them be heard out of your mouth. He said, don't commit adultery, right? Because it's important. It is important. Because if you, he said, if you even utter things out of your mouth, Yahuwah gets upset. He would say, what? He gets upset, man. He gets upset. Right, so this is the book of Hosea, Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. Hosea chapter 3 and verse 1. Hosea chapter 3. Hosea chapter 3 and verse 1. And Yahuwah said to me, right? So Yahuwah said this. Go again, love a woman who is loved by another man. Ooh. So he said, go love a woman that's loved by another man and is an adulteress. An adulteress, like you said, why? When a woman gets married, when a man marries a woman, that man loves that woman. Don't get it twisted. The man loves that. When Yahuwah married Yasharal and Yehuda, he loved Yasharal. He loved Yasharal. And then when the other people came and took his bride, do they know they took a woman that was loved by another man? Because that man loved that woman. When you take a woman that's married from her husband, that woman is loved by another man. It don't matter. And guess what it says? Go again and love a woman who is loved by another man and is an adulteress. Even as Yahuwah loved the children of Yasharal, though they turn to other gods and love cakes of raisins. What do you mean he loved cakes of raisins? Right? The book Hosea, chapter 3, verse 1, he said, that don't even make no sense. He said, why would they love Hosea 3, verse 1? He said, they love cakes and raisins. Right? What does that got to do with anything? Right, that word for cakes and raisins, get what it says. It says they love, Yasharal looked to other gods and loved, it says, the word for cakes is Ashisha. They love Ashisha, pressed or flagon, it says raisins and cakes, right? And it also means Ashisha, and it says and wine. But that word for wine, or it says inab, it means grape. It says bear fruit, a grape wine, right? So they love. He says Yahuwah loves the children of Yasharal. Though they turned aside to other gods, they turned to another man. You know how you get to another man? You know how you go be with another man? You go out to dinner on a date, and you go meet him somewhere. He said, I'm gonna go meet him somewhere. We finna go eat together. We finna go woo each other with our words of lying. That's basically what you be doing, knowing that somebody loves you. And guess what? They had a dinner date, and guess what? And they love cakes and raisins. They love everything that was put at the table. He said, I'm gonna go get some tea with a croissant, right? And they're gonna put it together, and you're married to another man that loves you. And you say, how does that make a man feel? You loved by another man. You're an adulteress. He said, as long as you marry and you with another man, you're an adulterous woman. And that tag, once that tag gets on you, it don't come off. It don't come off. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and a omer and a lintath of barley. And I said to her, you must dwell as mine for many days. He said, you gotta be, he said, you who is loved, a woman is loved by another man, you gotta dwell with me, you an adulteress, and you gotta dwell with me for many days. And I bought her. He bought her with money too, because a woman ain't free. They be thinking like, even an adulterous woman ain't free. They be thinking everything free in the world. Even an adulterous woman ain't free. Ain't that something? And he was saying, oh yeah, things are just free. He's like, everything costs something. And get what he said? Because she said, you loved by another man. And you must dwell as mine for many days. And you shall not play the whore. He's like, and you got to stop sleeping around. He telling her what to do. He said, you adulterous woman, you better not do anything to me. Right? Even though she a woman loved by another man, because another man married her. But she went and played the whore and slept with another man. And he got her, he said, I pay for you, you better not do it to me. Or belong to another man, you better not do it to me. I paid for you, I bought you, you better not do it to another man. So will I also be to you? He said, or belong to another man, so will I also be to you. For the children of Yasharal will dwell many days without a king or a prince, without sacrifice or pillar, without ephod, without household gods. Because he's talking about her behavior. The only reason he had to take a woman that belonged to another man because they went after other gods and made molten images to other Elohims, Yasharal. So he was literally like, hey, I'm gonna buy you back, you bought with a price, but just put away your things you used to do before. Even as the children of Yasharal got to put away all the things they used to do before when they went away from Yahuwah. Afterwards, the children of Yasharal shall return and seek Yahuwah their Elohim and Dawid their king, you mean Yahusha their king, and they shall come in fear to the Yahuwah and his goodness in the latter days. He said he's gonna come in fear. Why? Because he just purchased an adulterous woman for a price. I just bought an adulterous woman that's loved by another man. Because that woman is loved by another man. And she an adulterous woman. You know, that tag don't come off you now. People say, oh yeah, once it get on you, people have no idea, right? This book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. 1 Peter, Aleph Kav, chapter 3 verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. It says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. What do you think? When Hosea, Yahuwah said, go marry a woman that's an adulteress. Because you know that tag ain't taking off her, because that's what she do. Who loved by another man, who love, just like Yasharal like cakes and raisins and wine, and they sit have these dinner dates and be sleeping around. He said, you know what? Go get her. And he bought her, and he said, make sure you don't be doing no whoring, none of this stuff. Put away all the things you used to do before. Likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. Because you can still, people say, oh yeah, you're an adulterous woman. But understand, as long as she does certain things, she's still going to be that type of woman. Right? And it says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the Khan of life, so that your prayers may be not hindered, right? Why? How can your prayers be hindered with a woman you ain't living with an understanding way? We just read it. He said, how are your prayers going to be hindered? This is Hosea chapter 3, Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. Hosea, going back to Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. And it says, 3 verse 2. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and an omer and a lintath of barley. And I said to her, you must dwell as mine for many days. You shall not play the whore or belong to another man, so will I also be to you. He said, I ain't going to do it to you either. He said, that was his marriage covenant. He said, I took her. And she dwelt in his house. And he was living with her in an understanding way. You understand what I just said? She an adulterous woman living in somebody's house. He said, but you understand what I just said? If you're going to live here with me, you better make sure you don't be putting no whore in. You may not be doing anything around here that can cause my prayers to be hindered. That's literally what he said. And guess what he said? You must dwell as mine many days. You shall not play the whore or belong to another man, so will I also be to you. Right? So this is the book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. This is more to the story. This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. 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 It says, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands. As to Yahuwah. And it says, for the husband is head of the wife, even as Mashiach is head of the body, his body, and is himself its savior. Why do you think he told that woman to put away all your whoring and all the things you did? And so will I be to you. I will be your provider. And he says, now as the body is subject to Mashiach, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Going back to Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. There's a reason why. Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. And he says, and I said, 3 verse 3, Hosea 3:3. And I said to her, you must dwell as mine for many days, and you shall not play the whore or belong to another man, so will I also be to you. For the children of Yasharal shall dwell many days without their king or prince, without sacrifice or pillar, without ephod or household gods. Afterward, the children of Yasharal shall return and seek Yahuwah their Elohim. That's what you got to do. If you don't put these things away in your life, nothing you expecting to attain in the future will never happen. It will never happen for you. It will never happen, right? This is the reason why. This is the book of Colossians 3 and 7. Colossians 3 and verse 7. Colossians 3 and 7. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 7. It says, in these you too once walked, when you were living in them, going to Colossians chapter 5. Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. Put to death, therefore, is earthly in you. Sexual immorality, that's adultery, fornication. I think he told her to put it away. He said, put it away. You have to put it away. He said, put away your adultery and your fornication. Put away your whoredom. Put away your denial. It says, impurity, passions, evil desires, and covenants, which is idolatry. You're making molten images and molten gods within yourself. On the account of these, the wrath of your Elohim is coming. He said, now my prayers are hindered when you don't do it. In these you too once walked when you were living in them. He said you used to do that. That's why he told that woman to put away her whoredom. He said, go take a woman that's an adulteress, that's loved by another man. Because who would love his bride? But she wanted to go be with another man, not even knowing that the husband she married loves her. But now you must put them all away: anger, wrath, malice, slander, obscene talk from your mouth. He said, put away your whoredom. So that's all whoredom. That's what whores do. Zina do. That's what they do. How do you think they go from man to man to man to man? They sleep with one man and then they go off on them. They go off on them. They do anger, wrath, malice. They got malice. They hope he dies. Slander, obscene talk from their mouth. They leave that man and they go to another man and do the same thing over and over and over again. That's what Zina do. That's why they can't stop. But amazingly, when the Zina adulterous woman, a whoredom woman, when they stop doing these things and they get to a man, then they end up staying with that person. But if they keep doing this, he's like, man, look here. Do not lie one to another. That's what they do that too. Seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge of the image of his creator. That's why he said, put away your whoredom and all your adulterous behavior. And so what I do for you, and I will keep doing this for you. But then he also said, even as the children of Yasharal will be without a king, a ruler, and all these things, they're going to seek Yahuwah of hosts. They're going to be renewed in the image and the likeness of their creator. Here, there is no Greek or Yehudi, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free, but Mashiach is all in all. Right? So, if one goes from that behavior to this behavior, put on then as Elohim's chosen ones, Kudash and beloved and compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bearing with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As Yahuwah has forgiven you, you also must forgive. And above all things, put on a ha, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Do not ahab these cakes and raisins. He said these cakes with other gods and this wine with other gods. And then don't be sitting with these other gods, Elohim, another man. You're a whoredom. And because when you do that, you sit, the other Elohim, the other man is sitting with you and you eating and you are enjoying your dinner date while you married in love to another man. You're an adulteress. This is bearing one another. If anyone has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As you have forgiven you, you also must forgive. And above all things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. That's why Hosea told that woman that, because he was binding everything together in perfect harmony. Put to death what is earthly in you. And let the shalom, peace of Mashiach, rule in your hearts. That's why he talks about getting your inheritance back. Because how you going to get shalom back? How you going to get your inheritance back? We read it in Jeremiah chapter 30. This is your Jacob's trouble. Putting to death what is earthly in you is not an easy task. It is your Jacob's trouble. That's your Jacob's trouble. You know how, that's painful to have to do all that. I used to slander, now I gotta forgive. I had this sexual immorality, now I gotta abstain? Man, I'm a Zanah. Man, that's all I did. I gotta stop doing that? Man, this is trouble. This is gonna be some real trouble for me. This is gonna be a tough birthing process for me. Because you've been doing it your whole life. You ever seen somebody who got so much behavior, evil behavior? I saw somebody, you see people out here. They got so much evil behavior, and then they do it in other countries, and they come here, and then you see them, they can't stop what they do. You can see it manifest on their life. You're like, man, you really was something on it where you used to come from. You can see it all on their face. Right, you can see it. But this is all a part of it. It's all a part of it, right? So this is the book of everything's for a reason, right? Everything's for a reason. Nothing just happens, right? Right, this is the book of Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6, verse 23. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 23. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 23. Matthew chapter 6, verse 22. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if his eye is is healthy, the whole body will be full of light. That's why he said don't join in marriages without health and love. That's why he said you gotta have love, one for another. Don't join in marriages or companionship without health and love. Because if your eye is unhealthy, your eye has to be healthy. The way you see. You gotta have love. It's full. He says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if the eye, the ayin, your sight, because a bod starts with an ayin, a breeze starts with an ayin, right? A den, the garden starts with an ayin. Right? All that's a part of it. Aynu starts with an ayin. Humble, meek, and lowly starts with an ayin. if your eye is healthy, guess what happens? So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Or your iron. See, experience, watch. So you gotta see it. But if your eye is bad, your iron, your sight. If your sight is bad, because you gotta see it. Aynu, Anu. He said you gotta see this stuff. Because if you don't see it, then guess what happens? If your eye is bad, then your whole body is full of darkness. If you ain't got no Aynu, you ain't an Abad, you can Abri, you need to know that in order to know the iron. That's the only way you're gonna see it. Then the whole body is full of darkness. If the light, it says if then the light is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? How great is it? Verse 24. No one can serve two masters. It's like a woman can't have two husbands. You got a man that loves you, and then you have another man that you with, eating cakes and raisins and cakes and all types of wine, and y'all sitting together, y'all having a good time. He said you can't have that. You can't serve two masters. That's when Husha bought her, he told her what to do. Because you can't serve two masters. He said, I bought you, I purchased you, so therefore I am your master, and this is what you need to do. And if you don't want to do that, and it says, no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other. That's all, love and hate. That's all you're going to see. He said, you either hate the one, you hate him, I hate you. It's Saneh. Because that's what we did. He says, the iniquity is upon the fathers, upon the children. Can a man birth a child? Can a man be pregnant? To the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. Saneh. Because you could call somebody master and not do what they say. Why you call me master, master, and do not the words I say? Why you think Husha told her what to do first? He like, I purchased you, I bought you, so now, guess what? You need to do what I say. He said, take a woman that loved by another man, put her in your house and take care of her, and then guess what? Tell her what to do. Put away all your whoredom and your sonnet. Guess what he said? No one can serve two masters, for he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. Right, you can be devoted to your behaviors in your past life and despise the person who actually you're with. It says, you cannot serve Elohim and money. You say you can't serve Elohim and money. He said, seek ye first the Malkuth and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. He said, there's only one way you can do this, right? Right, so this is the book of, unless you're scorning payment, right? This is the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 27. Matthew chapter 5, 27 through 28. Matthew chapter 5, 27 through 28. Matthew chapter 5, 27. Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. It says, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. We just read it. It was said in the Ten Commandments, when Yahuwah told you what not to do when you get married, be with me. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with a lustful intent has already committed adultery in his heart, in his mind, in his makashaba, in his imagination. You know, a man's mind can go wild. How you say? It can go all over the place, especially when it comes to sexual desire and want. It can. He said, you already did. He said, you looked at a woman that's loved by another man. That's married. That's loved by another man. And guess what? you have already committed adultery in your heart. He said, all the imaginations and thoughts and all the things that you had in your mind, what you gonna do with it? Right? You created a love scene. You think it's for an audience of two. But in actuality, Yahuwah was looking at you. That rhymes too. It rhymes. Yeah, they do. And it says, if your right eye caused you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. He said, we ain't visual creatures. We say we mental creatures. But your eyes can visualize and put things in your mind, and you be thinking it's in a secret place in your heart. In actuality, Yahuwah can see it. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown in the Sheol. So now you see how you get thrown in the hell. Because you're going to get thrown in the Sheol if you have this in your heart and your mind when you die. That's both male and female. If a woman looks at a man and she married with lustful intent, she have all these things in her heart and her mind, she committed adultery in her mind already. You already committed adultery in your heart and mind already. And he said you're going to get thrown in the Sheol if it's in your heart and your mind when you die. Right? That's how you get trapped. Like people say, how you get trapped? You get trapped. Right? You get trapped in the closet. And then the husband come in the room and now you're in trouble. And he getting ready to kill you. Right? And people say, no, he ain't. That's what Yahuwah gonna do when he get back here. He gonna find you and he say, you done been with my woman. And you gonna be thinking you hide from it. You know, I said, Rob's following us and hide us from him who sits on the face of the throne. And Yahuwah gonna come back here and he gonna be like, where that person at? Right? He gonna come for you. It's not a game. Matthew chapter 15, verse 17. Matthew chapter 15, verse 17. Matthew chapter 15. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 17. Matthew chapter 15, verse 17. It says, do you not see, Aynu, if your eye be healthy? Aynu, Abad, Abri, Aydah, the Garden of Eden. If your eye be healthy, do you not see whatever goes into the mouth passes through the stomach and is expelled? How are you going to see that? You put things in your mouth, but you can't see it going through your stomach. You can feel it. You can look at it. But how are you going to see it? Yahuwah got x-ray vision. And he got plasma vision. He can see straight through your DNA. He got electron. He like an electron microscope. You ever seen electrons? They use electrons to channel what? Dark matter, but you say what? Electrons, right? He can see straight into your inner man. And he says, stop. He said, do you not see that whatsoever goes into the mouth passes in the stomach and is expelled? But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart. It comes right from your inner man, from your lab, your makashaba, your yetzer, from your heart. And this defiles a person. For out of the heart, the lab comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery. It's in your heart and your mind, your makashaba, your inner part, your liver and your kidneys. It comes from your heart and your mind, your left and right ventricle, your blood that pumps to your hands and your feet. It comes from who you are. It comes from your mind, your mental faculties. Your 12 cranial nerves, your 12 melanin centers, they come from your heart and your mind, your ears, your mouth. It comes from your body. It emits from you. It's like a bad odor. You know, like an odor. You know how when you eat, say you eat too much turmeric or like something that's real spicy in it, or somebody goes and gets drunk, like with some beer or whatever, you can smell it on them, or they smoke or do things, and they emit it and they go sweat it out. You can smell it on their skin. That's what this stuff is. That's what these behaviors are. You can smell it on people's skin. If you say, nah, I can't smell that, you can't see that. Yes, you can. You're just ignoring your other senses that Yahuwah gave you. You say, I can't see nobody just committing adultery. I just can't look at them. Yeah, you can look at a person and you can tell. You can look at a person and tell what they do. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts. He said, man, I know your thoughts evil. I'm looking at you. He said, murder. I know you're getting ready to commit murder. I'm looking at you. Adultery. I know you commit adultery. You thinking about it. Sexual morality. I know you looking at that woman over there. And I know you ain't got no money, and I know you broke, and I know you just want to sleep with her, and then that's it, and cast her away, and then she lose her virginity, and guess what? Now she broken, and now she want to kill every man in sight. Please save another man from that. And she gonna be hot, real mad. Please don't do that, because people don't be thinking about other people when they do stuff. And you ain't got no money to take her, get where you can't get married. Right? And it says right here, false witness, it says sexual morality, theft. He's saying, I know you're thinking about that person coming by. Look, that's a nice car, but that's a nice ride you got there. You know how people people say this all the time. If people understand, man, that's a nice ride, but you don't even know what's in their heart. They like, man, I'm gonna steal that lady car. Next time he leave the key, but that thing gonna be gone. Right? He gonna turn his back, I'm gonna bust that window out. I'm gonna steal that person his shot. I don't care if he's rich, and I'm gonna steal his shot. I'm gonna take her. And get what he says: false witness, slander. These are what defiles a person. These evil thoughts people be thinking, you will be seeing X-ray vision. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile anyone. He say, man, you want to talk about washing with unwashed hands? Look at your hands. Your hands ain't clean, but you can lose everything and be living in the wilderness. Your hand probably never be clean. But if you ain't doing none of these behaviors, then guess what? You would say eternal life will be you. But if your hands are clean and you look good, and you look real good, and you're doing all this, he's like, man, look at him. He may be the first one to get your garment stained with smoke and fire. Burn your clothes off. Can a man, just like a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes be not burned, that woman gonna burn you. I ain't eat shall I plead. Her eyelids gonna burn your clothes off, and you will say, I'm gonna burn your clothes off when it comes time to the last day. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point, right? So this book of Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. We almost finished. Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. Matthew Yahoo chapter 19 and verse 9. Matthew Yahoo chapter 19 and verse 8. 19 and verse 8. He said to them, because of the hardness of your heart, Mashah allow you to divorce your wives. Right, going over to Matthew Yahoo chapter 19, verse 6. Let's go to verse 19 and 3. And the Pharisees came up to him and to test him by asking him, is it lawful to divorce one's wife for any cause? Because, beware the leaven of the Pharisees. He answered, have you not read that he who created from the beginning made them male and females in Qahalath, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his child, and they shall be one, Akkad. So they were no longer two, but one. What? Therefore all the humans joined together, let no one's, not man, separate. Because that's all men do. You made a vow to Yahuwah, and then you say you're going to do something, you're going to be in a vow, and then a man come do. Nah, you don't need to do all that, man. You don't need, nah. But he says, let not man separate. They said to him, why then did Mashah command one to give a certificate of divorce and send her away? He said to them, because of the hardness of your heart, Mashah allow you to divorce your wives. Why? But from the beginning, it was not so. Nobody did that. He said, nobody did that. And I said to you, whosoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, he said, for adultery, fornication, whoredom, he said, unless it's for that, and marries another, he said, you commit adultery. He said, you marry somebody in her place. Why? Because a man in Torah they had multiple women. Right? Yaakov had two wives, but he would make a covenant and say he can't put none of them away with labor. He said, I don't care who they have. You better not take any other women outside of them to be your wife. Right? They were ranked. Right? He said, you better not. Why? Because that's the whole point. If Yaakov would have broke that covenant and put away Rakal or Leah and married somebody else, guess what? Man, Yahuwah's wrath would have been on his whole household. It would have been no 12 tribes. And we wouldn't be saying the Elohim Yasharah. Because he wasn't a covenant breaker. That's the only reason we're able to say the Elohim of Yasharah. How else are we going to say it? Well, people ain't thinking about that, though. How else are we going to say that? You can't even say it without two wives. You can't even say that without two wives and two concubines. The whole book is like omitted. But you know what other people say? It's not true. And get what he said. The disciples said to him, if such is the case of a man with his wife, it is better not to marry. He's like, man, look at here. Ain't no point in me doing this stuff. You telling me if she do something wrong and do something crazy, I can't put her away. I gotta keep her in my house. Hear what he said. But he said to them, not everyone can receive this saying, but only those to whom it is given. Everybody can't do it. For there are eunuchs who have been sold from birth. Right? He's talking about virginity, but we're not going there. But it's for a reason. Right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19. Actually, Luke 16. Go to Luke chapter 16 and 17. Luke 16 and 17. Luke 16 and 17. Luke 16 and 17. Actually, Luke 16 and 16. It says, the law, the Torah, and the Nabi were unto you, since the good news of the kingdom of Elohim is preached, and everyone forces his way in it. Right? It ain't easy, but it is easier for Shamayim and earth to pass away that one dot of the Torah law to become void. Right? So if a man got a hard heart and he ain't in shalom and peace, then understand the hardness of his heart made him do and transgress what Yahushua said. And he has to bear the punishment of that. Because that's just how Yahuwah is. You gotta bear the punishment. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Now she said, I don't want to do the punishment of it. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have to bear the punishment of it because that's just the way it is. Because that's just the way it is. It's always been like that. Yahuwah doesn't care. Yahuwah, when you do something against him, he doesn't. He always gives you a fair warning before. He's like, hey, see, I already told you already, but you did it anyway. So therefore, I gotta punish you just to let you know. If you say you believe in my son, though, right? That's what you said. You believe and you follow him and his teachings. So therefore, your decision is your punishment. This is Ukanan 19:17. And he said to him, why do you ask me about this? What is good? Right, going to verse 19 and 16. And behold, a man came up to him, saying, Teacher, what good deed must I do to inherit eternal life? Right? You think it's a good deed to put away your Isha and it's not for sexual morality? For adultery? Because the man, believe me, when you take a woman that is with a man that's married, she loved by another man. Please don't think her husband don't love her. And you take an adulteress. That man loves that woman. And get what it says. And he said to him, why you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you will enter into life, keep the commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not look at a woman with lust in her eyes. He said you committed adultery in your heart already. Don't look at a married woman with lust in your eyes. Not even a woman that is not married. So all it does is create other things and behaviors, and next thing you know, you're gonna be going to every single woman, and then you're gonna forget. You're gonna be lusting at every woman, and next thing you know, you're gonna forget, oh, that woman was married, and then now you condemn. See, the behaviors, it don't matter if the woman is single or married. He said, don't just lust at anybody. And if you, being that you won't do that, then you won't never find yourself, oh, I forgot, oh, he is married, oh, now you're in trouble. Because you're gonna create these behaviors in your heart, in your mind, and it becomes like you're an Amazon movie theater inside of your own head. He said, I go to that one. And you got this Amazon, you're just hitting the button in your thought process, and now you got this whole plethora of tapes in your head. Right? And these are all a part of it. And he said to him, why do you ask me what is good? There is only one who is good. If one will enter into life, keep the commandments. He said, which ones? He said, you shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. It's a real big thing. And it says, you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. And you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. The young man said, all this I have kept. He said, I ain't never did none of that. He said, I ain't never did that, right? That's what people say today. I ain't never did. Right, this is the book of James chapter 2. James chapter 2. James chapter 2 and verse 10. Let's go to 2 and verse 9. Verse 2 and verse 8. If you really fulfill the royal Torah law to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself, you are doing well. He said, man, you're doing very good. Congratulations. But if you show partiality, you are committing sin. So it don't matter who a person is, high, low, doesn't matter. And are convicted by the Torah as a law as a transgressor. For whosoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has been guilty of all of it. For he who said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not murder. You have become a transgressor of the law. So speak and so act as those who are to be judged under the law of liberty, right? That's what the law of liberty is. Liberty from not doing these behaviors in your life. That's real liberty. For judgment without mercy to who has shown no mercy, mercy triumphs over judgment. Right? Why do you think, everybody done committed all these acts in their life, and even presently, and guess what? You are showing so much mercy on people. And if you say, why would he do that to people? Because this is how he is. And you see why you're cold when everybody was the way they are. Even as Dawid committed a murder and adultery, he still made things right and married Bathsheba. Even after the child they had was killed. Even after Bilhah was defiled by Reuben, Jacob still took care of her and kept her in the house and kept his son and prayed for them. And that's how he was. This is Romans chapter 7 verse 1. Romans chapter 7 verse 1. Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. Here we go. It says, oh, do you not know, brothers and sisters, for I am speaking to those who know the law. Do you know it? That the law is binding on a person as long as he lives. He said, man, it doesn't matter how long, you still alive. It's still on you. People say, when these tags get on you, believe me, as long as the people are alive, that tag stay on you for the rest of your life. For a married woman is bound by the law of her husband while he lives. Why do you think Hosea, who should took that woman? He said, go take a woman that's loved by another man, who is an adulteress. And he bought her and brought her in his house. He said, take her, which means he had to buy her to take her, to get her in his house. That's what he did. He brought her and put her in his house. For a married woman is bound by the law of her husband while he lives. But if her husband dies, she is released from the law of marriage. He said, you ain't released. That woman wasn't released from the law of marriage, which was in Hosea chapter 3. She still was an adulteress, even though she was with other people. He's like, man, look at here. She like, man, Yasharah love them cakes and raisins sitting down and eating together. in that wine. But she still was bound by that. And Mary is bound by the law of her husband while he lives. But if her husband dies, she is released from the law of marriage. Then she released. Accordingly, she will be called an adulteress if she lives with another man while her husband is still alive. That's why Husha had her in the house. He said, go take a woman that's an adulteress. He didn't take the tag off her. She was living with him, but he didn't take the tag off her. He said, man, look here, I paid all this money. I did all these things. I bought you. Put away your whoredom and all your whore ways and all your lovers. And so will I be for you. I'll keep doing this for you. I'll keep taking care of you. But as long as you got all these whoredom in your heart and your mind, you ain't living here. And he said, just like Yasharah gonna be without a king, because she ain't had no king. She ain't had no ruler. She ain't had nobody over her. Because she was an adulteress. She was put away from her husband. But she never stopped, too. He said, even if Yasharah ain't got no king and they ain't got no ruler and they ain't got nothing, he said, when they finally put these things away, then they'll return back to me. That's the only reason he did it. But the tag still stays on you. People saying that tag go away. That tag don't go away. You're still an adulteress. Accordingly, she will be called an adulteress if she lives with another man while her husband is still alive. That's what he was talking about. He was talking about Hosea. She's still an adulteress. She was living with him. But guess what? But if her husband dies, she is free from the law. Then she ain't, you know what happened? Her husband's still alive. As long as she was in the house with Hosea, even though she was living with him, she could do that. But at the same time, he was like, you better not commit no adultery here. I guarantee you this. Watch what happens. You better not do that in here. But if her husband dies, she is free from the law. And if she marries another man, she is not an adulteress. She's still an adulteress. Even though she was in the house with Hosea, Husha. He told her to put away her whoredom and all these things. And if her husband died while she was in the house, while she was still being taken care of by another man, and bought her and made her his servant, she's still obligated to the husband that she had before. She's just an adulteress. He's like, you're an adulterous woman. You still gonna be an adulteress, even after, until your husband dies. So that tag will remain on the person. It's like a person you know how the person gets, they become a child predator and they get on this list. They be like, man, that's a child predator. He said put you on the list and you go to a certain place. They be like, man, he on that list. You're like, yeah, that's you. Who got a list? He be like, yeah, you on there. And guess what? Likewise, my brothers, you also have died to the law through the body of Mashiach. Why? He said, when you have died to all your behaviors and the other gods and all the things you used to do, now you've died to what? Through the law, through the body of Mashiach, so that you may be belong to another. Because you've died to your behaviors, the things that you used to do. Now you can be married to another. Why would you allow an adulterous woman who is still a whore, and still sleeping around, and is loved by another man? Why would you say she could be married to another man? You kind of kill that man. You finna kill everybody. Why? That's what people do today too. Why? That's like putting a murderer in your house. That's like having a murderer in your house and say, hey, murder me, please murder me, please kill me. That's literally what it's like. Please kill me. Please slay me right now. I want to commit suicide. That's literally what it is. That's literally what it is, right? Likewise, my brothers, you will also have died to the law through the body of Mashiach, so that you may belong to another. To him who has been raised from the dead, in order that we may bear fruit for Elohim. Why? Because now you've died to your behaviors. Now you can be married in a spiritual marriage to Yahuwah. Now you can bear fruit to him. You couldn't bear fruit to him when you were committing all these acts in your life. Because that's what Hosea was doing for the woman. He was trying to get her to the point where she could put away all her behaviors. She was an adulterous woman, put away her whoredom and her adultery, that she can have spiritual worship and do things for Yahuwah. That's the only reason. She couldn't do anything as long as she kept doing her adulterous behavior. She couldn't do anything for Yahuwah. Yahuwah don't want nothing to do with you. But once you put all that stuff away and she stopped doing it, then you say, okay, now you can offer spiritual worship and you can do all this praise to Yahuwah. You can't praise Yahuwah with no adultery. You can't do that. That's what Romans talking about. But that woman still is an adulteress. As long as you keep doing the behavior. He said, now you can, once you die to that, now you can belong to Yahuwah again. Because you can't even do that. And then maybe you may get your husband back. But nah. You left your husband and you went and committed adultery. So therefore you gone. And now you ain't coming back. And now he don't want you no more. He said, go buy her. Help her out. And then she put away her whoredom, then she could do some spiritual worship to me. But then after that, and it says right here, for while we were living in the flesh, our sinful passions aroused by the law were at work. Why do you think it was aroused at work with that person? In Yasharal and Yahuwah? It's still there. People think it's going to go away. No, it's still there. You still have it. It's aroused. If I tell somebody, don't commit adultery right now, don't commit adultery, and I'm an adulterous woman, and I'm an adulterous man, you like sleeping with married women, don't commit adultery. It's just going to make all that stuff rise up in you, just like we eat herbs and then all these things come on your skin. You're going to want to do it even more. Just because I said don't do it. He said, how you know a person committed adultery? Say, thou shalt not commit adultery. All you got to do is say that to them. They're going to be like, what you mean? You're going to see them flirting with every single married man, sleeping around everywhere you go, right? Because it's inside of them. Either they will stop or they will just continue to do it. All you got to do is say it to them. Thou shalt not commit adultery. What you mean? Right? You're an adulteress. you already know. Oh yeah, you ready, right? You ready. He said, for while we were living in the flesh, our sinful passions aroused by the law were at work in our members to bear fruit for death. Why do you think he said, you got to put these things to death inside of you, and you may bear fruit to Yahuwah Elohim. You can't bear no fruit to Yahuwah Elohim with all these sinful passions in your heart. But now we are released from the law, having died to that which held us captive. Hosea chapter 3, verse 1. Hosea chapter 3, verse 3. And I said to her, you must dwell as mine for many days, right? Because I'm trying to get you right. Right? You shall not play whore, right? He said, I'm trying to get you put to death what is earthly in you. You should not play the whore or belong to another man. You say you better not commit adultery again. What do you think Yahushua, all that immersion Yahushua have put him on? You now immersed into his household. So now you must put to death what is earthly in you. You can't keep this stuff. He said, you shall not play the whore or belong to another man. Because you married. You still married. So will I also be to you. I'm going to continue to do this until that happens for you. For the children of Yasharal shall dwell many days without a king. Because that's what she was. She said, you're going to dwell many days without a king. If you left and went to another man, left your husband and committed adultery. You are without a king. You without a king or a prince. You ain't got no seed. You ain't got no malak over you. Without sacrifice or pillar, you ain't got nowhere to offer sacrifice in peace. Without an ephod or a household gods, you got other gods. Afterwards, the children of Yasharal shall return and seek their Elohim. That's the only way you're gonna do it. That's the only way. And people think it's rocket science. It ain't rocket science. It's just the fact that people just want to do what they want to do. It really has nothing to do with anything else. Right? Romans chapter 7, verse 6. But now we are released from the law, having died to that which held us captive, so that we may serve in the new way of the Ruach, and not in the old way of the written code. That's why he was saying that. Why are you people going around sleeping around, committing adultery? Why? It's holding you captive. It's got you all bound. Why can't you just love each other? Right? Why can't you people stop? Because the code is, if you got a hard heart and you don't want to be with her, you put her away. He's like, but the new way was, I never intended for nobody to commit adultery. It was never it shouldn't even be here. Being that it's here, you all doing it, you ain't graduated to the new way yet. You still in the old way. You ain't graduated yet. These people ain't graduated. I know people say I graduated. You know how people say I went from first grade to, you went from first grade to fifth grade. Then you went to sixth grade. You got the 3 grades, and you go to the 9th grade. Right? People ain't got to the 9 yet. You say you gotta get to the 9. Then once you get to 9, then you go to 12. You can't even get to Yasharah. I'm the Elohim. Your 12 cranial nerves ain't even get the knowledge in it yet. Then you graduate from high school. You go from high school to higher knowledge, and then higher and higher. He said, you ain't get there yet. You still bound to elementary school. This is elementary stuff. And people say, why ain't never ascended? Why? Because ascending is something that comes with higher intellect. It is not attained in lower frequency. And adultery is lower frequency. Lust is lower frequency. Lower thoughts. Lower understanding. It keeps you bound. Verse 7 says, what? Romans 7:7. What then shall we say? That the law is sin? By no means. Yet, if it had not been for the law, I would not have known sin. I don't know what sin is. What's sin? Thou shalt not commit. I wouldn't know what thou shalt not commit. If thou shalt not commit adultery was not in there, he said adultery would be free to go, right? Everybody would do it. It would. If it wasn't in there, you would be like, you're free to go. Right? You know what I'm saying? The charges have been dropped. You're free to go. It's not in the law book. You know what I'm saying? You got adultery charge on you. He said the law is not in there. So therefore, we ain't got no code for that. So therefore, you can do whatever you want. But being that it's in there, man, you're going to be judged just like that. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You how many times? Sheol. That is your verdict. You worship other gods. You said another god out of your mouth. Oh man, you have committed adultery in your heart already. You already got his name. You already got his name on your mouth. It says, what shall we say? That the law is sin? By no means. Yet, if it had not been for the law, I would not have known what sin is. Known sin. For I would not have known what it is to covet if the law had not said, you shall not covet. But sin, seizing opportunity through the commandment, produced in me all kinds of covetousness. Man, that thing be producing. People have no idea. You ever sprayed some pest thing? You ever sprayed, try to keep insects off your crops? Man, you spray that thing, just scatter. He's like, man, it just produced, man, everything came out. For apart from the law, sin lies dead. I don't even know what it is. I was once alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin came alive and I died. You gotta die. As soon as you hear the commandment, thou shalt not, you gotta die. For the commandment that promised life proved to me death. To me. That's what it's gonna do. For sin, seizing opportunity through the commandment, deceived me, and through it killed me. That's the only point. He said, I'm asking for it, right? That's all it's gonna do. So the law is Qahalath, and the commandment is Qahalath, and righteous and good, right? That's all it is. And you have to believe that. If you don't believe that it is, we are no longer under the law. If you keep saying that, you're going to be committing adultery all over the place. You're going to do it. And people say, no, I ain't going to do it. Okay. Look at today. They say what? You're not under the law, right? I don't got to keep no law. And you know that's that. You know, guess what? Guess what you see? Go ask the people who say that and see what they done did in their life. 2 Peter 2, 9 through 7. And you'll see. And we all were induced with it. He said, you were induced with it. And you say, what are they doing now? The same thing. Right? 2, 9 through 16. This is 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2, 9 through 16. 2 Peter chapter 2, 9 through 16. 2 Peter chapter 2, 9 through 16. 9. 2 Peter chapter 2, 9 through 16. And it says, then Yahuwah knows how to rescue the godly out of trials, right? Going to verse 7. It says, and if he rescues the righteous, Luke, greatly distressed by the sensual conduct of the wicked, for as the righteous man lived among them day after day, he was tormenting his righteous soul over their lawless deeds that he saw and heard. Then Yahuwah knows how to rescue the godly, the righteous out of trials, and to keep the upright, keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment, and especially those who indulge in the lust and defiling passions and despise authority. Right? Because he said, despising what? The law. The laws. What were they doing in Sodom and Gomorrah? That's the thing that people don't know. They don't even know what they were doing in Sodom and Gomorrah. But that's what they were doing. Bold and willful, they do not tremble as they blaspheme the Kabod, glorious one. You know, they blaspheme. Why? Because they know they're coming around saying everything that is in these law books that are making us look bad. Like we ain't nothing. Verse 11, whereas Malachim, through greater in might and power, do not pronounce a blasphemous judgment against them before Yahuwah. Why? Because they are the people who are convicting people. But these, like irrational animals, creatures of instinct, born to be caught and destroyed, blaspheming about matters they are ignorant, will also be destroyed in their destruction. Why? Because they're ignorant of what's written. They're ignorant. Why? Because that's what they're talking about. You're ignorant of it. You don't know. You don't really understand it. Suffering wrong as the wages of their wrongdoing, they count it pleasure to revel in the daytime. They get drunk. They love sitting at the table with that wine and them cakes with them other gods and them other Allahims and them idols. And then guess what? They be gone in their mind. They are blots and blemishes, reveling in their deceptions. They get drunk in their deception. They so drunk. That's what reveling is, drinking parties. While they feast with you, they be sitting right next to you. You be like, man, they drunk. They be feasting with you. They be guzzling all that stuff. And you be thinking like, man, everything cool, right? Got your family, got your wife, got your Ishas, right? Got your Nashim, you got your people around. Everybody, you think everybody good. Everybody drunk now. Everybody getting drunk with wine, tits, and got the raisin cakes, right? Everybody good, right? Everybody should be great. Man, it's a good time, right? But this will happen. They have eyes full of adultery. Then they start looking at your shop, looking at your woman. Amen. Look at a woman with lust in his eyes. A married woman has committed adultery in his heart already. Woman drunk. Now she married and she looking at another man. Any woman looks at a man with lust in her, if she married, look at a man with lust in her eyes, committed adultery in her heart already. You either went from having a nice cog and move out and feast to a bunch of adulterous people right there in the midst of your head, and you don't even know it. He said, how many people have been in that type of situation? I know a lot of people who have. And some of the people weren't even drunk. They ain't have no drinks. I know a lot of people who have been in these type of situations. And you know the sad part about it? And then the same people that be doing it be like, what you saying that stuff about? Why? Because it's all, he said, you blaspheming the glorious ones. You know, like they say. The Kabod, we know the great ones are the ones who support each other and watch each other's steps and are gentle. And guess what it says? They are what? They eyes full of adultery, insatiable for sin. They can't have enough. But listen, bring some more women here. I don't care what type of woman it is. She could be married. She could be single. It don't matter. Bring her here. I don't care. Bring all the men there, right? Everybody get drunk. And their whole mind, their whole heart is all on adultery. It's looking at women, looking at them. What they going to do and what they going to, in their mind, it's just crazy. They entice unsteady souls. And then after they see you, they drunk and tipsy, reveling, and next thing you know, they see you, and next thing you know, they got your Isha on their shoulder. And they be like, what happened to my wife? Where my wife at? She gone, buddy. They got her. You went there with your family and you left with nothing. You ain't got no family no more. You ain't got your child gone, your children gone. It's just you now. And all your lovers have forgotten you. You know what he said in Yirmiyahu? They are forgotten you. All your lovers have forgotten you. Nobody cares about you. They cast you out and took your Isha and they were drunk. And guess what? All your lovers have forgotten you. Boom. All your lovers have forgotten you, and guess what? Now you ain't got nothing. He said, your wound is incurable. And you know why Yahuwah did it? He said, because your sins. Because of your sins. And we read in Yirmiyahu 30, he says, ain't no need of you to be all fearful and complaining. He said, I did it to you. Have you learned your lesson? He said, I'm gonna get them though. I'm gonna get them for doing what they did. But have you learned your lesson? That's the whole point. Because once you learn your lesson, then you're like, whew. He said, but I'm gonna restore health to you though. And I'm gonna heal your wounds though. But have you learned your lesson? This is the danger part of messing with Yahuwah, because he'll have your mind spinning and you be doing the evil parts to somebody just to teach somebody a lesson, and now he come back and punish you for the things you did. And you be thinking like, man, how in the world this happened? But that's how he works. They entice unsteady souls. They have hearts trained in greed, and then they trying to take your stuff. Your wound is incurable, and you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing. You get what he said? Accursed children, forsaking the right way. And he said, you call you cursed. And you say, why people curse today? They have gone astray. They have followed the way of Balaam and the son of Beor, who loved gain and wrongdoing, but was rebuked for his own transgression. The speechless Athon, the female donkey, it was a female donkey, spoke with human voice and restrained the Nabi's madness. These are waterless springs in the mist, driven by the storm. For them, the gloom and utter darkness have been reserved. He said, you wouldn't know how to reserve them. He reserved these people. People have no idea. For speaking loud boast, he said, for speaking loud boast of folly. They boast in your face. People do it on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. They boast in your face how they done stole your woman, stole your Isha. They boast in your face. He said, y'all was a bunch of, man, that people crazy today. They entice sensual passions of the flesh, those who are barely escaping from those who live in error. He's like, man, I'm trying to escape, and here I am coming to you, and then get what? Now you done stole everything I got. He's like, man, I'm trying to escape too, just like everybody else. And now everything gone. And everybody, he said, your lovers have forgotten me. They promised them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption. He said, man, you a slave to sin. You bound. You still bound. You still bound like that woman in adulteress. In Hosea, you still bound to all the things you used to do. You still bound to your drinking alcohol addiction. And that reveling got you messed up. You messed up a lot of people. And it messed up your life. It caused you to lust after things you shouldn't lust after. And then it creates things within our heart and our mind. And we can be drunk with the cares of this life too. Drunk in the cares of this life and seeking money and seeking things in this world. And then guess what? And you get so drunk to where you're drunk, and now you're loving an adulteress woman. And now you want to be with somebody who's married. You want to fornicate and commit adultery because you got all these things now. Because that's the only thing you left to do. He's like, I got all the money and fame. Now I just need the things that I need. I need that pleasure. But they themselves are slaves of corruption. But whatsoever overcomes a person to that, he is enslaved. Right? So you're enslaved to it, it overcomes you. For if after they have escaped the defilements of the world through the knowledge of the Master Yahushua Mashiach, they are again entangled in them and overcome, the last state has become worse of them than the first. You know how you were in elementary school? Imagine going back to elementary school with even more evil than you were. Is it eviler? You ever been around elementary school? You were around real evil children? Imagine you turning into one of them children. I was a good child. I was growing up. Then you go right back to the thing that held you bound. And you go back and you just even more evil. For it would have been better for them to have not known the way of righteousness than after knowing it, turn back from the Qahalath commandment delivered to them. What the true proverb Mashali says has happened to them. It's a proverb. It's true, man. The dog returns to his own vomit. I told you dogs are different. Man, dogs are different, boy. And I'm talking about a certain type of dog. Because that's what dogs do. And the soul, after washing herself, returns to the wallow in the mirror. He's like, man, you washed yourself, you cleaned yourself up. Now you return back to the dirt. And that's the whole point. Because everything that happens, because remember, he told that woman to put away her adulteress. Even as Yahshua going to be without a king and a prince, all these things. And then they're going to return and seek me. But first you got to put away your old self, that your new self may be put on. But if you can't put away the old self with the revelings and the partying and the things that you used to do, then guess what happens? You create evil for yourself. This is Luke 14 and 10. You going back there? Luke 14:10. We almost finished. This is Luke. Yeah. Luke 14:10. Luke 14 and 10. Luke 14 and 8. Luke 14:8. When you are invited by someone to a wedding feast, do not sit in the place of honor, right? You know what's there. Let someone more distinguished than you be invited. Then you be invited by him, and be invited, and he who invited you both will come and say to you, give your place to this person, and then you will begin with shame to take the lower place. But when you are invited, go and sit in the lower place. Man, you need to be sitting at the lowest seat. Especially if you got he said you got your Isha, your Nishin, your family, everybody with you too. Sit in the lowest seat. Why? But when you are invited, go sit in the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, friend, come up, move up higher. Because the Aynu going to inherit the Adultery. They're going to delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The humble, the Aynu, the Shafal, the Anua, the lowly ones, right? Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled. And the one who humbles himself will be exalted. The one who puts away their old behaviors and their old ways and their old thoughts and their old mind and their old understanding of how they lived, and that you may put on a new way and put away that old way. He said you will be exalted. You will be exalted, right? So this is the book of Sirach, chapter 23. The book of Sirach, chapter 23. The book of Sirach, chapter 23 and verse 1. It says right here, go to Sirach 23 and 4. O Yahuwah, Father Elohim of my life, give me not a proud look, but turn away thy servant always a haughty mind. Right? Haughtiness. How you say your eyes lifted to the eyelids? You know what a haughty mind does? Turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscence, and thou shalt hold him up that is desirous always to serve thee. Because that's what you're supposed to do. Let not greediness of the belly, nor lust of the flesh take hold of me. That's what people have today. Man, that thing got hold of you. And give not over me thy servant into an impudent mind. Don't become in complacent mind. Hear ye, O children, the discipline of the mouth. He that keepeth it shall never be taken in its lips, right? Because out of the heart come evil thoughts. Murder, adultery, fornication, idolatry. Right? Your lips bring you there. the sinner shall be left in his foolishness, both the evil speaker and the proud shall fall thereby. He said everybody gonna fall. Let's skip it down to verse 16. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and third will bring wrath, right? A hot mind is as a burning fire, as anger and wrath, right? It will never be quenched till it be consumed, but you're gonna have to put that thing out with some water. It says a fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he have kindled a fire, and that's the whole point. Put to death what is earthly in you. Fornication, adultery, or you're still. He said the only way you're gonna not be an adulteress is stop taking other men and put it to death. That tag will still be on you. Please don't be thinking, as long as you're an adultery and adulteress, that tag will still be on you. That man still love you. Even though you go be with another man, the man that loves you is not the man you commit adultery with. The man you're going to be with. The man that loves you is the man that you ain't with. The man that you cast away to go be with another woman, another man. Right? And it said right here, it says it will never be quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he have kindled a fire. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger, anything bread. Like we talk about them raisin cakes. And then one, he said, that adulterous woman. He said, man, he said, man, everything's sweet to you. He will not leave off till he die, right? A man that breaketh wedlock says thus in his heart, who seeth me? You know how it is. I am compassed about with darkness, the walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins as he will. He said, I remember all your sins. As a matter of fact, I remember the sins of your youth. All your lovers have forgotten you. Verse 19, such a man only feared the eyes of men. You only fear the eyes of men. And knoweth not that the eyes of Yahuwah are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. He knew all things ere ever they were created. So also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. This man shall be punished in the streets of the city. He said, this man that have all this, you're gonna be punished in the streets of the city. And where he suspected not, he shall be taken. He said, it's gonna happen to you suddenly. You're gonna be like, how in the world this happened? But you know, when Yahushua was taken, he knew. He said, and knowing all this, what was going to happen to him, he already knew before it happened that he was going to be taken. You ain't going to know. You know why? Because your eye ain't going to be off. You ain't going to be able to see. Because you were insatiate in the belly for fornication. Thus shall it go with the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth up an heir by another. He said, man, you're going to leave your husband and go be with another man and go sleep with another man and bear a child. He said, you're going to be punished in the streets too. You know what he says? For first, she have disobeyed the law of Yahuwah. What is that law? Is that thou shalt not commit adultery. And secondly, she have trespassed against her own husband. She went to go and sleep with another man. Thou shalt not commit adultery. That's what Yahuwah said. Then you transgress the covenant that you had with your husband. And then after you did, and then he said your husband was telling you what to do and you wouldn't do it. Put away your whoredom. Anyway, Hosea said, because he was trying to say, this is what your husband, this is what you didn't do with your husband. Put away your whoredom and all those men you with. But guess what? She has transgressed against her own husband, and thirdly, she has played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man. So this type of charge, when you start to sleep around and commit adultery, you got 3 sins on you at one time. So that's 3 separate punishments you're going to get for each one. So that's 3 separate sentences. You know how you get a sentence? You got first degree murder, felony, first degree felony charge, and abating and evading. Right? So you know how you get all that? And they be like, what's that charge get? Life in prison. Life in prison? Right? People think life in prison, this is life in prison. Like you was like demons every single year. Shadim, Satan, right? All these things gonna happen to you. All these things gonna happen to you continually over and over again until you put it all away. And you become a widow again. That's the only out. Right? Either that or you're going to be replaced every person you come in contact with. He said that's the only out at this. People saying that, yeah, people that know that. That's three charges against you. Yeah, people say, man, that's a lot. You know the fines on them things? She said, you brought up children by another man. That's a lot. Verse 24, she shall be brought out into the congregation, and the inquisition shall be made of her children. They're going to investigation. Like, who these kids is that's in here? Where these children come from? Are these not children of adultery? Who would do with children of adultery? People say, nah, you don't kill children of adultery. I said, man, you need to go check the records. He said, go check the records. He said, I say, those who are wise understand what I'm saying. Everybody who ain't wise understand. Go check the records, and you'll see for yourself. He said, her children shall not take root. He said, man, you ain't planting that. You're not planting that in here, because you know what happens when you plant that, and it's gonna grow up into salvation. You know, it's gonna grow up. You're gonna bear fruit eventually. And that seed that's on the inside, it was seed of transgression. And then once that seed resonates and grows up, what is it going to produce? It's going to have to bear fruit. And guess what? And her branches shall bring forth no fruit. That's why he said, I'm the vine. You said, without me, you can't do nothing without me. I am your husband. What you doing bearing children from another man for? That's what Yahushua said in Yuchanah chapter 15. He's like, hold up. She shall leave, get what it says. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. He said, it ain't gonna be blotted out. You know how it says, reproaches them, reproach thee, you who fell on me? Your punishment is continual. Because remember, the child is still alive. And then you got to deal with the fact that your husband knows about it. And he already done put you away. Because you know, committed adultery and brought up whoredom by another man. And then you got to deal with the other man that you had the child with, who probably won't even marry you. And he probably don't even believe in you. Right? And then now you got to deal with that. And then you got to raise the children. And that's even more reproach. So you think about that. So you got to deal with all that reproach for the rest of your life. All that pain and suffering. And then all your lovers have forgotten you. He said, your wound is incurable. For I wounded you like the wound of an enemy. And guess what he said? But I'm going to heal your wounds, though, if you repent. I'll bring you back if you repent. You know what I'm saying? Yahuwah like, I will heal your wounds. He said, Yahushua said, I'll come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He said, he that believes on me, as the scripture said, I was the belly shall flow rivers living water. He said, you can be born again. But your reproach and your punishment and your judgment will still remain. But you can still be saved if you repent with your whole heart and not partial, and put away all your water and you don't go to another man ever again. And be like a widow with children. People have no idea. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. And they that remain shall know that there is nothing better than to fear Yahuwah. And he said, why? Because the only reason you got to do all this is so that you will understand that your reproach ain't going away. He's trying to get you to fear not doing it. Don't do it. And you know what people do? They'll still do it though. For 10 minutes of pleasure. Them 10 minutes put you in life in prison. Just like a person going about shooting people and end up killing a child. Or speeding and end up running an old person over on the road. Or stealing a car and dragging a woman and ripping her arm off and she dies, and then you boasting inside the courtroom as if you are all righteous. And you're not. It's the same thing. And get what it says. And they that remain shall know that there is nothing better than to fear Yahuwah. He said, man, and that there is nothing sweeter than to take heed unto the commandments of Yahuwah. He like, man, look here, I need to keep myself right. You throw that person, you put that person out, because that person gonna cause plagues on the whole place. But then at the same time, he's like, man, okay, you still here, you still remaining, so therefore, man, we don't need to be doing that, because Yahuwah's sentence is real. That's the reproach, man. That thing ain't going nowhere. Verse 28. It is great kabod to follow Yahuwah, and to be received of Him in long life. Man, it's a great thing. But it's the last couple things we finish. Right? This is the book of. Right, this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. That's the. Yeah, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 1. And again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves called upon the piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carried him. For verily desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by skill. Right? But the providence of my father governeth it, right? Skipping over. Verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, the vain kabod. Right? That's how they got here, because men were seeking their own kabod, and women. And therefore shall they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with ultimately mourning, when he hath made an image of his child soon taken away. Now honored him as a god. Right? It's like a child died and you make a whole emblem of him, and then now a whole thing of him, and then now everybody worshiping your child, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifice. And they doing all types of fireworks and everything with it, and you worshiping it. Thus, in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off. And that's what. And how many gods you see on television today? Do you worship them? You real far off now, but you can see them everywhere. You can see them all over the place, and you far away. They took the counterfeit of his visage from afar, and made an express image of the king whom they honored, to the end that by their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if they were present. They gone. Also, the singular diligence of the artificer helped to set forward the ignorant and more superstition. Verse 19. For he, peradventure willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance in the best fashion. Right. So let's skip down. Verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them. Because once you start doing this, it ain't gonna be enough. They erred in the knowledge of Elohim. Thou shalt not have no other Elohim before me. Right? Thou shalt not make any graven images. Thou shalt not. But whereas they lived in great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. Now you calling all the plagues peace. You know how people say, I remember I was talking about that fake peace that people have? There's fake shalom. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. Reveling, you know what we just talked about? They do this at your Cog and Muad, right? They got all this reveling going on, this drinking. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, because they got eyes full of adultery and fornication, insatiable for sin. And you know what else they got? He that looking at a woman with lust in his eyes committed adultery. A married woman with lust in his eyes committed adultery in his heart already. And she that looks at a married, that's looking at a man who, with lust in her eyes, committed adultery in her heart already. They longer kept their marriages undefiled, but neither one slew another traitorously. But either one slew another traitorously or grieved him by adultery. That's the only reason they did. They either killed you, or they just murdered you, or they just slept with your wife. Or your wife went to go sleep with another man. That's how they got you back. That's how they do. I'm gonna do it, right? I'm just gonna do it, right? Just so I can get out of this marriage. People do that crazy stuff. And then some men do it just to do it. It's just like, you know what? I'm drunk, and I'm just gonna do it. And people do that too. So that there reigned in all men and women without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling the souls, changings of kinds, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. That's why Yahuwah said in the first commandment. He said, why he said that? Because these things produce these behaviors. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Right? It's the beginning, right? So this is mostly Proverbs 29:23. One's pride will bring him low, right? Because they're going to bring you down to the ground, lowly. But he who is lowly in Ruach will attain honor from Yahuwah. Because all your lovers will forget you. He said, this is someone whom no one cares. Right? But guess what? He said you will obtain honor. It says shafal, that word for lowly is shafal. It means to humble. It means humble oneself, humiliated, lowly. That's why you think he says, I wound you with a wound of an enemy. Because I needed you to get to that point. I need you to get to that point. I wounded you with a wound of an enemy. I brought you to that place. I brought you to that point in your life to where you actually need me. And now you need me. And that's the whole point, because you ain't need him before. It's Psalms 37, 7 through 11. Be still before Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in the way. And he say, Qahalath, don't get angry. Over the man who carries out evil devices, who commits adultery, reveling, eyes full of adultery, and insatiable for sin. They planning deceit and plotting, and you're against their neighbor, and they dwell trustingly next to you. I'm trusting my neighbor next to me, but then my neighbor is a drunk reveler, and now I got to guard my whole family against him, against them, against their children, against their wife that's married, who's trying to all types of stuff. It tends only to evil. For the evildoer shall be cut off, but those who wait for Yahuwah shall inherit the Aydah. You wait for him, right? Because all these things are taking place in the earth. It says, in just a while, the wicked will be no more. Though they look carefully at his place, he will not be there. But the meek, Aynu, shall inherit the Aydah and delight themselves in the abundance of shalom, right? Because all these things are important, right? The word for be still is daman. It means to be dumb, be still, to make quiet. That's what we said read in Jeremiah chapter 30. When they said your code's trouble. He said once your code returned, they said they're going to dwell in quiet. He said Saul going to have much singing. They're going to burst forth into singing. After they get their inheritance back. But you got to go through the trouble parts. So you got to go through the trouble. You You gotta go through the birthing process to get to quietness. Right? You have to, right? The word for meek is Aynu. It's spelled with an ayin, right? If your eye be healthy, then your whole body is full of light. Aynu. It means what? Poor, humble, afflicted, meek, poor and needy, poor, afflicted, humble, meek. That's what it means. Because if you do these things, you become meek. Right? That word for peace is shalom. It means completeness, soundness, peace, tranquility, relationship, peace, war, happily, friendly, welfare, right? All that's a part of it. Shalom, right? Proverbs 16, 19 through 20. It is better to be of a shafal or a lowly state, ruach, than with the Aynu, than to divide the spoil with the proud, with the people of greed. You want to be the lowly ruach, not the ones who reveling and full of greed and eyes full of adultery. They dividing the spoil with the proud. Whoever gives thought to the debar will discover good. You keep thinking about the debar and meditating on it, you'll always discover good in your heart and your mind. And Barak is the one who trusts in Yahuwah. You got to trust Yahuwah. Right? This is Proverbs 22 and 4. The reward of humility, or anua, and the fear of Yahuwah is riches, honor, and life. That's what it is. It's riches, honor, and life. Anua, that word for humility is anua. Humility, meekness. Clemency. Humility, meekness. Clemency. It means to mercy or leniency. Condescension is attitude, superiority. He said that's going to be you. For the meek, Aynu, right? This is Sirach chapter 3, 17 to 23. My son, go on thy business in meekness, Aynu, so thou shalt be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself. He said the more you humble yourself, the greater you become. He said that the more humble yourself, the greater you become. Why? Because that's the whole point. Right? Because why would he say that? The greater you become, the more humble yourself. Why would he say that? He said, so why would he say that, right? This is the whole point, right? This is the whole point, right? Because everything happens for a reason, and nothing just happens, right? Right. This is the book of Bereshith. This came to my mind. Book of Bereshith, Genesis, Bereshith chapter 14. I think it's 13, 14. Yeah, 14 and 14. Excellent. 13 and actually go to 12. 12 and 10. Bereshith 12 and 10. Actually 12 and 17. 12 and 17. Bereshith 12, 17. But Yahuwah afflicted Pharaoh in his house and great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done? Why did you not tell me that she was your Isha? He said, what the world are you doing? Why are you doing that? Because that's what happens when you take somebody else's Isha and you put him in your house and your husband's still alive. He said, you get all these things happening to you. And he took her by force. But he said, so Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is it you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her for my wife. Now then, here's your wife, and take her, and go. And Pharaoh gave me orders concerning him, and sent him away with his wife and all he had. And get what it says. So Abram went up from Mizraim, him and his wife, and all that he had, and Lut was with him in the Geb. And now Abram was very rich in livestock and silver and gold, right? Because he got great. But he said, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself. And thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. For many are in high place of renown, but mysteries are revealed to the meek. Aynu, right? But he said, why would he say that, right? Because it's important, right? This is important, right? So this is the book of 1 Peter. It's 2 Peter. First Peter chapter 3 and verse 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey to the bar, because everybody ain't gonna obey the bar, if people say, yeah, if something happened. You know, people are like, oh yeah, if something happened, he don't obey to the bar. They may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives. They stay in the same state. Even if they don't obey to the bar, they stay in the same state of being. Because you're the light of the world. They're supposed to see your aura. It says, when they see your respectful and pure conduct. He said, if you ain't respectful and your husband disobeyed to the bar and you're not respectful and your conduct is not pure, then guess what happened? He's going to get more evil. Ain't nothing going to happen to him. That man going to get more evil and evil. He be like, man, what's wrong? He getting more evil and evil. That's what's going to happen. Do not let your adorning be external, right? But it's skipping down. Verse 4. But let your adorning be the hidden, verse 4, person of the heart in imperishable beauty and gentle and quiet ruach. Because you done went through the whole birthing process. And now you're in quietness. You're in demand. And now you want to keep everything in soundness and peace in the house. The same way we just read that the meek Aynu going to inherit the Aydahs. You stay peaceful and humble, and guess what happens? The whole house stays peaceful and humble. Even though he be disobeying the bar. Sometimes. Right? And get what it says. But who has not disobeyed the bar? You know, some people raise their hand, say boast, and say they never did. Right, because it's gonna come a time where you're gonna make him. You be like, say, why he made him disobey the bar, just so to see if you will do this. But let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with an imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet ruach, which is the Elohim sight, a precious, very precious. For this is how the Qahalath women who hoped in Elohim used to adorn themselves, by submitting to their own husbands. And Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, because no man can serve two masters. Either you'll hate the one, you'll love the one and hate the other, or you'll serve one and despise the other. You can't serve two husbands. Calling him master, and you are her children. If you do good, if you always think under the bar, you'll always discover good. And do not fear with anything. Fear that is frightening. Why? Because when the Shadim started to rise up, you're going to fear that? He said, when you go against the battle against your enemies, he said, do not be afraid or dismayed. You must believe that Yahuwah is with you. It says, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, right? Oh, it's a part of it. Why she call him master, though? He said, why would she call him master? Because that's the whole point of it, right? This is Genesis. Right? It's not it. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. Genesis chapter 15, Bereshit chapter 15, 18. 15, actually 18 and 5. Actually 18 and 3. And said, O master, O Yahuwah, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, while I bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant, Aydah. So they said, do as you have said. Right? Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Any man make a vow to Yahuwah, defer not to pay, for Yahuwah have no pleasure in fools. Do as you said. And Abraham went quickly into the tent of Sarah and said, quick, 3 seahs of fine flour kneaded and make cakes. Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master. Because Yahuwah said, why call me master and master and do not the words I say? That's what she just did. Not in, he said, not in the outward adorning, but in a meek and quiet ruach, did it. She didn't call him master with her tongue. Master, master, master. You know how people, that's fake. Master, master. Now you ain't got to do that. Master, master of Don. It's more. You show by being somebody a master of you just by doing it. You ain't got to say that. That's all fake. How many times you would say, you mean don't weird me in your words. You weird me in your words, your songs, your new moons, your feasts, and all these things that you say out of your mouth. He say, man, they speak great words to you out of their mouth, but their heart is far from you. They show much love though. Master, Don. But he say, they hear you at the bar and they ain't gonna do it. They ain't hear your words. So you would rather you hear his words and do it than you saying master and don't do it. That's how you show it. Just by doing it. It ain't got nothing to do with what you say out of your mouth. True love can't be said, it has to be performed. Who quote this down? And this is Sirach chapter 3 and verse 19. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. That's why he tells us as his bride to do what he says. We humble and stay humility, and Yahuwah says, don't do this, don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Then you don't do it. Do this, do that, do this, and then you do it. And then therefore you humble yourself. Verse 19. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed to the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honored with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. Don't even do it. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. He said, man, you better think on that thing. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. It's not. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men understand. He said, more things are showed unto thee than men and women understand. Because that's the whole point. Because understanding is a part of it, right? This is the last thing that came to my mind. This book of Psalms, chapter 32. Psalm 32 and 1. Psalm 32 and 1. Barak is the one whose transgressions is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Barak is the man against whom Yahuwah counts no iniquity. And you Barak. And he takes that away. In whose ruach there is no deceit. In no deceit. So you're not, people saying, you're not saying master, master, or don, and you're not doing the things he say. That means you got deceit. He said you got deceit. He said, Matthew 5:48, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. It's really that simple. He said, you ain't got to say, keep the commandments. Right? You know what people say? You're unrebukable. Right? You know all these things that people say. Right? You know all that stuff. If you just do it in a meek and lowly and quiet way, then guess what? None of this stuff would be going on. You're going to be reveling and drunk and all this stuff. People will be able to be around people in safety. You can't even be around people in safety anymore. It's just crazy. People just absolutely insane. For when I kept silent, there we go. My bones wasted away, though my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. All your wounds, when Yahuwah put his hand on you, you fasting and praying. Your bread is your ashes, your bread, and your tears is your drink. You black to the ground, right? When Yahuwah got his hand upon you, my strength has dried up, man. You fasting, you soon. You know how I say soon? That's the word for fast, soon, right? Your strength dried up as by the heat of the summer. Isn't that what we in right now? He said, what people need to be doing during the summertime? People are like, what's going on? This is 630 hours, this is 6 months. Secure, tent peg. Joining, adding two, joining two becoming one. I acknowledge my sin to you. That's what people need to be doing in the summertime. And did not cover my iniquity. You know, people, they cover it up. You know, they cover it up for 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, 2-month fling. Somebody came in adultery right now today. Right now. They planning it right now. Sunday night, sun go down, football, right, done went off, right. I got to meet the person at the hotel, right. And guess what? That hoe gonna tell on you. Because it's all a setup by Yahuwah himself to take you down. The whoremonger man gonna tell his friends, and they gonna spread to other people, and they gonna find out about it, and you gonna get caught. Eventually, they gonna catch up to you, and people think it ain't gonna happen. That's okay. I acknowledge my sin to you, and I do not cover my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgression to Yahuwah, and you forgave the iniquity of my sin. Selah. Therefore, let everyone who is righteous, who is godly, or Elohim, is not written in your Torah, says you are Elohim, offer a prayer to you at a time when you may be found. Right now, he found right now. Surely in the rush of the great waters, they shall not reach me. And you know how it is. When the floods come and the rains come and your house built upon a rock and beat upon that palace, it's built back on the mound again. The tail. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with shouts of deliverance. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. You are watching me. Be not like a horse or a mule without understanding, which must be curbed with bit and bridle, or it will not stay near you. This last verse says, many are the sorrows of the wicked, but steadfast love surrounds one who trusts in Yahuwah. Right? We look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the true rays of light. We look at the true city of the sun. We look at the one who gives life and understanding to all things and all creatures by the bar, Yahuwah Elohim, who gives understanding to our inward man, our inner being, and our inner thoughts, to take us through the troubles and the birthing pains of life, to bring us back to our inheritance, that our land may flow with milk, flow with rivers of living water, and that we may bear fruit unto salvation. For Yahuwah sits in the highest Shamayim in the sides of the north, above all Elohims and all gods, and he's watching every one, whether good or evil. And he repays those who are good and evil, and those who are continually walking in their transgressions. He gives you opportunity to put to death what is earthly in you, that you no longer be bound to your old self, that you may put on a new one, which is renewed in the image and the likeness of its creator. For the image and likeness of its creator is not bound by sin, for Yahuwah is light, and in him is no darkness at all, no kashak at all. For when there's darkness upon the face of the deep, and as we were heading toward the longest night, the Ruach Marakaf al-Panim has moved upon the face of the water, and Yahuwah said, let there be light. And he wants to move light within inside of us. For we are the children of the Kukah. We are the children of the cosmos, the stars. We are the stars, the Kukah, and the Shaman. We are the Elohim, the Shemesh in the yard. We are the light of the sun and the moon and the Kukah. And we should shine forth as light, as righteous beings in the earth, and not to walk in the imaginations of our own heart and our own mind. For we are the light. How would the Goim be when they do not have light to see? For you see the world, and the whole world is in chaos because of you. Because your light is not shining, because one is still bound and captive by the very things that keeps people bound in this world. But he said, put to death what is out of the earth in you, and ascend to your higher nature, and be put on the real nature of Yahuwah Elohim. Kindness and compassionate hearts, meekness, Aynu, shafal, humility. If anyone has a complaint, you forgive, even as Yahuwah has forgiven you. Because we complain every single day about things that happen to us. But then he says, you know what, I forgive you if you forgive somebody else. Because Yahuwah is reciprocity. It's reciprocity. Whatever you do, you give it to somebody else. I do it for you. I mean, he's all about reciprocity, right? He said what? I give it for you, you do it for somebody else. He always been about that. I forgive you, you forgive somebody else. Pay it forward. Because the more you pay it forward, the more the world heals. And the more people heal, the more the community people heal. The more the people of Yasharal heals. And then by healing, then you create love. Aha. Fikri. Amor. Aham. You create pure love for each other and for Yahuwah. For everything that we do is being recorded. It's being recorded in a book. And you want to have your name written in the book of life. I say Safar Kai. Knowing that Safar, that book that's going to be written, you want your name written in it. And then when he reads your name, you be joyful and happy to know that you overcome your old self. And you put on a new self. Continue. Let love reign, let Ahab reign in your heart and your mind. For we know that he said, go on thy business, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. And go on thy business in meekness, so shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. There's only one that's approved. Yahushua Mashiach. You be beloved. Why? Because his love now reigns inside of you, and now you can be Aynu and meek and humble every single day. For he said, without me, you can do nothing. But Shaul said, I can do all things through him that strengthens me. Because Yahuwah is my Aleph again. When Yahuwah becomes your Aleph, then you'll be able to reach totality. You'll be able to reach the sign, signature, exit, four corners out of this life in purity of mind and purity of thought. And that you'll no longer love Ahab will be fake anymore. It'll be true. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek and the Aynu shall inherit the Adultery.